Crossover. Oh, killer crossover. Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com.
Everlevel.
There you go.
What's up?
Hi.
Hey, guys.
How we doing? How we doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. How about that volleyball team last night? My gosh.
Oh, yeah. Another
sweep.
Another arena attendance record.
16 records. They
I said
There was
Nebraska
a
volleyball
lot of
is the
splash
Indiana
of red in
fever.
there.
Yeah, they're the Caitlin Clark
Yeah.
of volleyball.
But who's Caitlin
They
Clark
sell out
amongst the
everyone's
team?
road arena.
there is none. The whole team is
The whole
Caitlin
team.
Clark.
It's just one big, it's like they all form a Caitlin Clark.
Our team is our Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, they good.
Matt Rule said
Imagine
something
being
like
so
that once.
Selfish as to have one Caitlin Clark.
Yes, exactly.
Do better, Iowa. Come on.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of Carver Hawkeye Arena for a men's game.
Yeah.
The other and obviously it's the beginning of the season.
Very disappointing.
They're playing nobody, but yeah, I think that program lacks a little juice at the moment. And it probably doesn't help that more people are excited about women's basketball at Iowa than our men's basketball. So
Hey, what'd you get from Scooters there?
You don't believe in Fran?
large Americano.
Staring at officials?
I believe that Fran will win a good amount of games and be a 10 seed in the NCAA tournament and lose.
I thought you were going to say he'll win a good amount of games and be a D-bag.
There's that too.
That comes with the territory there.
Hey, if yelling at officials makes you a D-bag.
Well, sometimes you don't even have to yell. You just stare at them.
Yeah.
Now, I would prefer the yell than the stare, because the stare is just straight up, I'm trying to be tough guy. Like fake tough guy.
Juan Soto.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's poll question. Is Fran McCaffrey Juan Soto? There would need to be some context of that one too.
No, you don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, do you know these guys? They don't do context. It's not a thing.
Nope.
It's more fun when it lacks context.
I really don't like that there's candy canes on your coffee cup.
Yeah.
Oh, they are candy landed up over there.
Yeah.
All the grocery stores have got their Christmas candy out now
So
after
disappointed.
Halloween.
It's great though. I got 2 bagels from Bagel Bin this morning, and then I just went right to Scooters next door. And
That's one happening Friday.
it was awesome. So I have a question about etiquette.
Okay.
Let me know if I'm in the wrong here. So
Gladly.
I'm walking up to the Bagel Bin door about 45 minutes ago, and me and this woman get there at the exact same time to the door.
Mhm.
She holds the door for me.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah,
Way to be a gentleman.
I know. I mean, but she got to the door first, right?
Okay.
It was natural that way. She opened the door for me. I hop in line.
You said thank you.
I said thank you,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah.
Was I supposed to let her go in line first? Because it cost her that simple, nice decision. Probably cost her at least 5 minutes of her morning.
Nice guys finished last.
I would have done the same thing you would have done. I don't think there's anything in the etiquette playbook that says if they open the door for you and you enter a line that they should be given the spot.
But she got there first, right?
Sure, but she didn't also have to.
It was
open
her
the
decision.
door. Yeah, it was her.
Her decision.
Thank you. This is great.
Hard.
You're
This
fine.
sounds harsh.
You're okay.
It's been weighing on me.
Nice guys and girls finish last. You do the gesture.
I think it would have been like excessively nice guy for you to be like, oh no, please.
Yeah,
I could have done it.
Yeah.
I could have done it. I felt bad about it the entire time.
I don't
You're
think
well
you're a
within your
bad
right.
guy for not doing it.
By the time that I left, I was all paid for, and I was walking out the door. She was like just about to get her order.
She didn't give you a
know
look
what
or
would have been
anything, did she?
ultimate power move? I'm
you
paying
pay.
for hers.
Yeah, you pay. Oh, see that.
Yeah, but then I have to stay.
But all that for just opening the door.
But that would have cost me time and money.
Yeah, because then you would have to hang around.
And then I'm swinging it too far the other way.
Yeah.
You just buy it. You say one bagel, paying for one bagel. For her.
What if she wanted more? She's like, oh, that's nice.
If she's buying a dozen, she's buying a dozen for the office, too bad. I'm paying for one.
Yeah. What if she gets locks and all that junk on it?
Yep.
You know, like okay. No, that would have been swinging too far the other way. I wasn't willing to do that.
I think
I'm nice.
Yeah, to do all of that for
nice.
just the simple gesture of holding the door, which I feel like you should just do anyway. I'm not asking for perks. Yeah, I got there first, but I also made the decision to hold the door. There have been times that I've been in a time crunch that I will not do certain nice gestures because I just need to get in line or I need to get from one place to the other.
So you're saying from her perspective, like she knew going in, like, all right, this might cost me.
Yeah. She
did
knew what to
that.
expect.
She ran the cost analysis and said, you know what, it's worth it today.
Which makes her an even better human being.
Yeah. She could have just as easily done the open the door, walk in and hold it and give you the door and keep moving.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep. And then go, yep.
She could have done that. I wouldn't have been offended by that at all.
You shouldn't have. Now, see, I've twice now I've had the in the coffee line, the pay it forward where mine was paid for. So I paid for the person behind me.
Yeah.
They actually ordered $378 worth of coffee.
John, it wasn't that bad, but they did order like one of the most expensive drinks because, okay, so I will admit this too. I will look behind me to see how many people are in the car. Because there's like 2 or 3. I'm like, no,
this has to have been on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Already, right?
I want to take my free coffee.
This is quick, critical decision making.
So I saw it looked like a.
I'm going to pay for the person behind.
If it was like a teenager, I wouldn't have done it because usually they're going to get
catering
something.
Order.
It's not like they're going to get black coffee. They're going to get something kind of foofy, right?
Definitely, it's going to cost $8 at least.
This person, and it was a female. She was in that in between range of probably 20s to possibly 40. So I'm sure she probably knows what she wants. It ended up being a $11 item.
Yeah,
sir. Like, come on!
I'm going to pay for the person behind me. Oh, that's great, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, mine costs.
It'll be $1,816.
So essentially,
no, I don't want to. We've already processed your card.
That good deed that would have cost me about a $4 coffee ended up costing me $11. You tell me, we got screwed in that whole thing.
So, did you ever think, like, as the person told you the total, like,
could you renege on that?
It's time to back out. That could just pay for my coffee.
Actually, if she gets just a regular coffee, I got that. Anything more? Or just say, hey, just put $4. Put $4 order.
I want a $4 gift card.
Yeah. Like, oh, the guy actually paid for $5 of your order.
That would be hilarious.
I think I might try that next time.
Kevin writes in, I was thinking this. Please look up the Tim Robinson 55 Tacos skit. So from I Think You Should Leave.
Yeah.
You guys have seen that, right?
I love Tim Robinson.
I have not.
He goes in the line and then he gets up to the window and he says, I'd like to pay for the person behind me. Yeah. And so he starts this chain and then he immediately jumps back in line to be the person behind that person. And then it orders 55 tacos, 55,
Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah. You just come right back into the line and you start ordering. Oh yeah. I admit though, if I see a car that has multiple people in there, I'm just going to take my free coffee. Does that make me a bad guy? Probably does. But you know what?
I've never had my coffee paid for.
It makes you haven't? It makes you a poor
not in that
guy,
situation.
It makes you.
It does make you feel good when it happens, but then you immediately go from cool to no, I gotta keep it going.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do. You're stuck.
And you look behind yourself and you're like, this could be a gamble.
I've never been in a situation like that. So maybe
I've never been in a pay it forward situation either. I did one time.
Wow.
I was was picking up.
It's only been in the coffee line. Never anywhere
Chinese
else.
Food from a restaurant, and the people in front of me, like their card kept getting declined, and they weren't going to be able to have their dinner, so I paid for it.
Oh,
that's fantastic.
That is nice.
Now I have paid for someone ahead of me because for whatever reason they just can't seem to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, let me get this. Let's get us all out of here.
Yeah. Let's go about our days. I will gladly buy that bottle of water. You seem to be.
It comes across as a great gesture, Josh.
In the car.
It's like, no, I'm doing this for me.
Yep, this is a very selfish move. It comes across as a great gesture, but it's more of the convenience factor for one. Josh,
this $2.49 is for my own convenience.
But here you go. I mean, this is a new avenue though, like weaponized incompetence. You can go up there, start. I don't know what is this a card? How does that work?
Why is my chip reader not working? Well, these are the only cards I have.
All of a sudden, you got a nice Nick Hanley behind you, and he's paying for your junk, and you're just sandbagging.
And then the whole question is Nick Hanley paying for your junk?
And then you walk out, and you're like, that worked.
SEAL Team Nick comments said, "I'm trying to do something." That's the line from that sketch.
I'm gonna have to watch that because that just sounds amazing. Yeah, I know that there's something about people that don't even think about that. They just do it willy-nilly because they want to be a good person. I have a lot of thoughts that go through my head when mine's been paid for.
You should.
Maybe.
Critical thinking.
Guys, I just had an epiphany. Maybe Nebraska football is in the midst of a very long pay it forward scheme.
And they're just on the wrong side of it every time.
Hey, Deshaun, this wins on us. Don't worry.
They really, that is
This explains everything.
He had it kind of tough at Big Ten media days. Yeah. And you know what? Hey, if that's the case, the good news is I don't think a lot of people really feel too bad about Lincoln Riley. So now it's time to get your comeuppance.
You know what, guys? We won a whole lot of games in the 90s. We're gonna give some other people a chance.
So they're really paying it forward.
Yeah. But they don't know. They're expecting to get it back because
they have not.
Nobody else is participating.
They have not cut back in line yet. Yeah, that's the unfortunate.
They don't realize that it's a dog eat dog world out there. They're just giving people stuff.
That is a good analogy. I like that.
But the difference is Nebraska's just standing at the window as people keep coming through the line.
No, you go ahead.
Wait a minute.
No, you go ahead.
I'll pay for that one too.
Kurt Signetti, you go ahead.
I'll get this one as well. There's another one in. Okay, I'll get the next one in line also.
Oh my gosh,
it's possible. It's not a curse.
That
it's
actually is a
forward
question now. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I just saw that.
Is Nick Hanley paying for your junk at Happer Show? Please vote.
It's important.
I'm trying.
It's the most important election of our lives.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This poll question.
Yes, of course, exactly.
It's true.
It's what's on everyone's mind.
All right, so John Schreiner is going to the lovely town of Bennington tonight.
It's right near my house.
All right,
I'm not really going.
Western Nebraska.
Yeah.
Don't start. Don't do that.
It's not. Oh, come on.
What are we looking at for high school game? We got some good stuff tonight. Is it quarterfinal?
Yeah,
quarterfinal Friday.
Class A, West Side Papio. That
just saw that game 2 weeks ago.
I heard there will finally be a competitive game in Class A.
Elkhorn South, Omaha North
this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It won't
that should be
West Side or North South. Although Millard South, Millard North, you get a little backyard rivalry.
Bellevue West has to travel out to Kearney.
Yeah. Millard South.
Millard South
probably gonna wax that.
Can Millard North bring back the tape on the helmets just for tonight?
Oh no.
Man, they've really
that ship has sailed.
Fred Petito would jog to the he would jog to the stadium and say no.
After he'd already jogged 20 miles just because.
He would slowly jog to the stadium and say, nope. That tradition is gone. Bellevue West is going out to Kearney.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody wins in Kearney.
They'll get jobbed by the refs.
Look, that's a tough trip.
Oh yeah. Watch out for Kearney.
I remember one of the first times when I was covering high school football, Millard North had a good team. They had to go out to play the Danny Woodheads and his brother. God, what's his brother's name? Who was older?
Jimmy.
the North Platte.
But they had to go out and play North Platte.
Old Jimmy Woodhead.
North Platte is the Jesus. Why can't I think of this?
North Platte Tigers. I don't know. I don't know. I know they're blue.
Yeah, they're blue and gold. Go Tigers. What the hell can I think of North Platte?
I don't know. I wouldn't have anything for you. I'll try and find it.
Yeah, I feel like I should know this. But anywho, North Platte won.
Bulldogs.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, thank you. North
Bulldogs.
Thank you, Aaron.
North Platte won the game. And I wasn't out there, but everybody that I knew that was a Millard North fan said they got the home. They got the home cooking like never before.
It's a tough place to go. Like I think wasn't Westside's last loss at North Platte?
That sounds right. I don't know, but that sounds
at
right.
North Platte.
I think so.
Something about the refs. No,
well, the refs.
No, that's what everyone.
This is a tough place to play.
This is a long time ago.
It's a
when this
long
happened,
trip.
But I just remember
very long trip.
People complained that the officiating was very slanted towards the home team back then. That's all I heard. Now, again, I wasn't there, so this is all secondhand. I didn't know.
Gretna played their first round game at Scotts Bluff.
Well, they had a young Danny Woodhead that would have had something to do with it.
Wow.
This year, Gretna at Scotts Bluff.
The farthest we ever had to travel in high school for a game was Grand Island, and I was very happy.
We had to go to Hastings.
We're borderlining on too far.
Our longest trip was, I think, Norris.
And meanwhile, you got all these other teams out there. And
in Roca?
You're like, well, we got to go about 6 hours every week.
Is Norris technically in Firth or in Roca?
Norris is in Firth.
It's Firth?
Yeah. Okay. Norris.
They used to be called Firth Norris.
Yeah, that's right.
Norris is in Firth.
But Roca's right there, right?
Roca's right down there. It's just
like
south
a different neighborhood?
South of Lincoln.
Okay.
The old Eastern Midlands Conference was not very spread out.
I just remember.
You got Hickman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, Hickman. Yeah, that's the other one I was thinking of, Hickman.
You got Cortland. You got Panama.
Because I think I think the Legion team is just the Hickman Post.
Yeah.
I think they are
that's right.
sponsored by the Hickman Legion. I just remember one time before Norris got really, really good at everything. We were playing them when I was coaching at Columbus, and they had a really large dude that apparently was good at football too, and his last name was Tebow. That's the only thing I knew about Norris at the time.
That's awesome.
His name was Tebow, and this was when Tim Tebow was the thing. And they had a Tebow.
They just called him Tebow.
No, his last name, it was, I don't think it was spelled the same, but it was Tebow.
Yeah.
Because they'd all like, come on, Tebow. I'm like, wait, is that really his name? I had to look at the lineup again.
Yeah, you
Sure
go to some of these towns, and all of a sudden they point out, and there's this big guy that walks out of the locker room, who's like, "Bring in Big Country."
Yep, Big Country. Now, if he had like John 3:16 below his eyes, I would have said, okay, I get it now. He's trying to be Tim Tebow, like Dylan's trying to be Mahomes. No, I didn't say that.
Hey, he claims he's not.
Definitely not.
Well, speaking
narrative.
Speaking of Tim Tebow, he said he wears 15 because
Said that
he's a big
haircut
Tim
since he was
Tebow.
5.
Yep, and he's a big Team Tebow fan. That's why he wears 15.
Tebow said he was. Wait, which Tebow said he was a fan of which Tebow?
No,
Norris Tebow?
we've moved on from Norris Tebow. Now we're talking about Dylan. Dylan said he's a big fan of Tim Tebow. That's why he wore 15. And he had the haircut since he was 5.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
So, you know.
Not Patrick Mahomes.
And he
Definitely not Patrick Mahomes.
He hasn't started talking that way either.
Definitely not about Patrick Mahomes.
What if Dylan, though, had
What if he did
like
the
a
finger
bad
thing? What if he started doing the finger thing?
Oh, he does that.
Oh, he does like all of that.
What if he had a bad case of laryngitis, though, and accidentally was talking that way? And they were like, okay, man, now you're trying to sound like, I'm like, no, the kid really does have like a.
People on Twitter are
got an
really
issue.
triggered about Dylan Raiola looking like Patrick Mahomes. Have you seen any of this?
Have you seen any of it?
Yeah. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, Nebraska's path to, I mean, they've been stuck in this pay it forward line forever. So they keep giving away wins. And so that storyline is not really a thing anymore, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, it is the obvious added bonus to this entire year of Nebraska sucking over the last month. We don't have to talk about whether Dylan Raiola looks like Patrick Mahomes anymore.
I mean,
they become good again, and then we will.
I realize
you're right. People are not happy about it.
I realize that Twitter is not the place you go for well-reasoned and humanitarian takes on things,
but it's fun.
But there have been some really, really vile things.
Oh, you mean this week?
People
Yeah,
say
sure have
about him impersonating Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
Sal writes in.
Hi, Sal.
Says,
is it Sal Bass?
Yeah, Sal Bass.
Hey, Sal Bass.
So we had to travel to Gering for districts and stopped at Sydney to eat. Had a Pizza Hut buffet that gave over half the team severe food poisoning by halftime.
Well, that's what they call the runs.
It's home cooking.
Once again, whether it's officiating home cooking or it's actual home cooking.
Never had to play in Shadron. Never had to play in Shadron.
I've never been to hardly any of these towns.
How do you think the Pizza Hut pulled that off, though? They're like, ooh, quickly bring in the bad pizza.
I'm only familiar with the towns
I ate the pizza
that basically are on the I-80 corridor out to Grand Island, and that's it. If you go west of that, I'm in.
You don't know about Ogallala?
I mean, I know about it in the sense that it's like
about Lexington.
You ever been to Stromsburg?
I know about Ogallala in the sense that it's the last like reasonable gas station I could stop at on my way to Denver.
Connor, what do you know about Fairbury?
Fairbury hot dogs.
How about Fullerton?
I don't know anything about. Well, actually, I do know something about Fullerton.
Okay.
My some of my wife's family is from Fullerton.
I'm giving you my 100-mile radius from when I was in Columbus and all the little towns.
What do you know about Juanita?
Oh,
Juanita, Nebraska.
Yeah,
is there a Juanita?
Juanita Palisade.
Juanita Palisade.
Yeah.
I know about Junietta.
Yeah. I played Little League baseball.
What do you know about Shickley?
Bruning Davenport Shickley.
Yep,
BDS.
Yeah. I only know about Wood River from Scott Frost.
Yeah.
There's Lexington, there's Kozad, there's Gothenburg, the Swedes, of course. But this is all still along I-80. If you move off I-80, we're in big trouble.
Like where
the hell is that? Nobody knows.
One of the state pastimes in Nebraska is naming the towns. You know.
Yep.
Seriously. I mean, we're doing it right now.
I was my eyes opened big time when I moved out to Columbus.
Yep.
Like
Sandhills, Tedford,
places that I had to. Oh, there you go.
Hemingford.
Well, and not only moving out there in the little towns around there, but then covering state wrestling. When I had to cover state wrestling, that's when I got inundated with all of the consolidated schools, but also all the different towns. Like, what is that?
And you have to know your stuff, or they're not gonna like you and listen to you, and you won't be successful.
Curtis,
100%.
you know about Curtis?
Curtis, Nebraska?
Yeah.
No. Never heard of it. Where
There's
is
a
it?
community college there.
Where is it?
It's
There's a community college, Curtis?
southwest of Lincoln or Lexington. Southwest of Lexington.
Oh, just southwest of Lexington?
Yeah.
How about Valparaiso?
I don't know about that either.
There's a Valparaiso between on your way from Columbus to Lincoln. You'll see Valparaiso. Yep.
Excellent.
Not just a school that had a really great NCAA tournament moment.
I'm from a region of towns you've never heard of. Franklin, Riverton, Hildreth, Macon.
No.
I've heard of
Republican City, Alma.
You are correct. I've never heard of any.
I've heard of
those.
Franklin.
What part of the state is that in?
South Central.
South Central.
Like
South of what?
Why would I have
south
heard
of Kearney, like to the Kansas border.
Is there anything that's in Franklin that
way
is
down there.
noteworthy? Because I know I feel like I've
Is there
been to
anything
Franklin.
about Franklin that's
Yeah.
noteworthy?
I feel like I've been to
Ugh.
Franklin.
Republican.
But why
City.
would I have gone to Franklin?
You
is my
wouldn't
question.
have
Oh,
unless you were driving to Alma or the Republican County Reservoir.
No.
Harlan County
Harlan
Lake?
County Reservoir, yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't think I.
Look at a map right now. I love maps.
Maybe I just went out on a drive.
I do. I was doing
That's-
doing my Sporkle quizzes before I go to bed,
Oh, Sporkle quizzes are great.
and so in honor of like the election, I've been
Yeah.
really into maps this last week.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Love
know,
geography.
To just rip off some geography quizzes.
Maps
You
rock.
know,
Yeah.
electoral votes,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Oh, we're big in the counties this time of year.
Seriously, I was looking for a quiz that had like
Where's
big
Buxton,
big counties, big notable counties.
Bucks County.
Bucks County.
Gwinnett County. Wayne County.
Yep, Gwinnett. There you go. A lot of people got
Maricopa.
Bucks County because that was going to be a big one.
Dade.
I know.
Yeah,
Dave.
Miami-Dade County.
I know Miami-Dade,
That's a
yeah.
big deal.
Yep.
Huge deal. You win Miami-Dade County, you're in good shape.
We had a good time with the maps on Wednesday.
Yeah, we did. I went up to Valentine or the Valentine area once to float down the Niobrara like any white person does.
Yes, we do that.
I know, but you didn't take.
What about Creighton, Nebraska? Do you know there's
Oh
a
yeah,
Creighton, Nebraska?
yeah. I know there's a great.
I knew there was a Creighton, Nebraska.
It's
I had no
actually
idea
it's
where
actually
it is.
closer than you think.
No idea where it is.
Northeast.
Northeast of what?
On your way
It's just
to
in the northeast kind of corner area.
Oh.
Yeah, if you go
Up
into
there.
if you're making your way over towards like Valley, then Fremont, there's also a little tiny township called Ames that's
Mm.
just outside of Fremont. But if you go north of like between Fremont and Ames, you'll find yourself in
And
Creighton.
of course, everyone knows about Why Not.
Oh yeah, why not?
Blue Hill. You guys know
Mhm.
Blue Hill?
Yep.
I mean, heard of it once again.
Yeah.
Don't know where it is.
It's not far from Juniata.
Oh yeah, I know about Juniata.
See, I know Homer has
My grandparents live in Juniata.
Homer's been a little bit more
We are so Nebraskans.
popular because of Landman Golf
Dudes
Course.
naming
but
towns.
I'm proud to say I knew about Homer before Landman Golf Course. What's up? Had to do a high school football game out in
Oh,
Homer.
you Johnny come latelys that only know about Homer because of Landman.
Yeah, exactly. I also knew about Ponca before people like decided to go
Oh,
to the
Ponca
park.
is one of my favorite
Ponca's cool.
parks.
Ponca is
Ponca
cool.
State Park is awesome.
Ponca's got a sneaky good 9-hole golf course too.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's-
what my
it's
favorite
right outside
park
the park.
is.
Yes,
you
it
stay
is.
in the cabin, you
Yep.
go over to the golf course,
Yeah.
play 9 holes,
It's sneaky
go back
good.
to your nature walks. It's
Mhm.
great.
Just break it up.
Connor,
If
you gotta load up the family truckster and take them to Ponca State Park for a summer vacation.
Let me know. I'll join you for 9.
If somebody asked me
Then I'll drive back.
what's your favorite park, I'd say I don't know. I have no idea.
Ponca's good.
What's a park?
Ponca State, you don't know
Central
about
Park.
state parks?
I don't know what your favorite
You're
park
not
is.
in the
Central.
state parks?
No, I don't know about the parks.
Oh man.
Ponca's
Connor.
nice. Ponca's cool.
Well, you're a dad now. You'll get on that train.
Sean writes in, John Schreiner naming all the Republican Valley schools. How about Holdridge, Loomis, Bertrand?
Bertrand.
Hey,
Bertrand.
What about Upland? Ask him if he knows about Upland.
He can hear this.
You're using Connor as a vessel through. All right, ask him about this.
I'm not talking to that guy. You ask him.
Guide Rock? Does he know Guide Rock?
Platt Cat and Mustache Adam Bread again. Dudes just love sitting around naming Nebraska towns.
Yep, I'm telling
Guys
you.
naming dudes, Spall, Nebraska towns.
Black
edition.
Cat, can I borrow $20?
Yeah, Platt Cat's rich now. We gave him all that money.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he earned it. He went
He
10
did.
and 0 in the.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
fourth quarter pickup.
if you're picking them 10, come on.
Look at our comment section right
good.
now. It's just full of
Towns, random towns.
Sounds.
Yeah. Red Cloud, St. Johns County, Lawrence, Glenville, Harvard,
Rogers.
Minden. Jeff says Atlanta. Wait, is there an Atlanta?
There is in Atlanta.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
that was just a
No,
joke.
there
Like,
is.
hey, how about Atlanta?
Just want to break it up.
I
How
think
about
it's near-
Chicago?
I think Atlanta's near Holdridge and Loomis.
I would like to meet the 2 random towns I just brought up, Ames and Rogers, because those were always on my Highway 270 to Highway 30 trek from Omaha to Columbus. I want to know anybody who ever lived in Ames or lived in Rogers. Those are less than 100 in population.
In a Vale.
I just want to know.
All right, so let me look at the. I'm gonna pull up like the Class D2 bracket or something like that, and
Geography quiz.
and see where we're headed tonight.
I know Humphrey's good.
D2. Here's what we got tonight: quarterfinals. Archangels Catholic against
That is-
Howells Dodge.
Archangel's Catholic is now the Humphrey St. Francis.
Yeah.
Oh wow, really?
Yes.
Yep.
Allison Widener,
Mhm.
alum.
She was
Why not?
Humphrey High? Yep.
Central Valley. They play each other tonight. Why not Central Valley?
Okay.
Sandhills Tedford against Riverside, or Thedford.
Thedford.
Sorry. Overton against BDS.
Brooding, Davenport, Chickley.
BDS won a triple overtime game, 56-54 against Kennesaw in the first round. And my God, it was one of the best high school games I'd ever seen.
What do you think is the more
I never
booming,
saw it.
the booming economy between Brooding, Davenport, or Chickley? Where are young professionals flocking to
if you
between
get
the three?
first billing, it's probably
Bruning?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got to be
Well,
Bruning.
They're
It's
in
not
alphabetical
It's not
order.
alphabetical.
Oh, it is.
Well,
BDS.
Well, I mean, but like, don't you go in which is most important order as well?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think
Why
of some
didn't
other
you
ones.
do SDB?
I'm trying to. I'm trying to think.
I
of
bet
some
Shickley's like, what the hell?
let's see.
I think Shickley might be the biggest town.
What
of
do
the
they got
three.
that we don't got?
Oh, okay. You know what? Oakland Craig. Reverse of alphabetical order.
They always pop up on the bottom for
Yeah,
school
They
closures.
do.
D1 playoff bracket tonight. We got Sandy Creek and Shelby Rising City.
Shelby Rising
Sandy
City.
Creek.
Yeah.
Shelby.
Brian Shaw.
You
Lord,
guys remember Shatrice White? She was a really good basketball
Michaela
player.
Shaw, for that
Shatrice
matter.
White is from Shelby.
there you go. Lords Central Catholic against Plainview tonight.
I've been to Plainview.
We got Crofton and Summerland.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a fun town. North Platte, St. Patrick's, and Stanton.
Stanton is not far from here either. Like within a couple hours.
Are they cheating? Are they recruiting?
They might be.
Yeah.
Who isn't? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
C2, we got Norfolk Catholic and Raymond Central. We got Wood River, Kearney Catholic. We got Battle Creek, Malcolm.
You think Frost will be there?
We got Cedar Catholic and Bishop Newman.
Norfolk Catholic
Those are-
is a
let's get a little more
freaking
familiar.
dynasty. That school
Yeah.
is always good.
They
at
do a lot of,
football.
and they're
Heiner
not-
Carberg.
it's
No.
not just one sport
Yeah.
too. They do a lot of good sports.
Norfolk,
Kearney Catholic.
Kearney Catholic.
Norfolk, Norfolk Catholic does a lot of good sports. They like sports. They're good at it.
They are a football dynasty.
Kearney Catholic, Wood River tonight. Huge game. Huge.
The
Absolutely.
Kearney Catholic Stars.
Yeah, the Stars. The green and yellow.
Yellow.
Awesome. All right, there's your playoff preview.
Yeah. And you can watch Bennington and McCook on your television set.
Go
tonight.
Badgers! Go Badgers!
If you
Let's
have Cox.
go!
Yeah.
Or you can watch it for free online on the YourView platform.
There
Wow.
you go.
Let's go.
So
man.
many ways to watch.
many
No
ways to
excuse
watch.
not to.
No excuse not to.
Matt writes in, I
Matt.
live 5 miles northwest of Ames. Please help.
Oh no.
Do you need to get out of there?
So he does leave. He lives by Wayne or Ames.
Yeah, Ames, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Blink
only-
twice if you're in Milwaukee.
It's only 36 miles away from where we're at right now at this very moment.
Ames has
Oh, just a suburb of Fremont.
Yeah, he needs to let me know. Are there more than 30 people in Ames? I'm serious.
Well, he's asking for help, so probably
Okay.
not.
Yeah, he might be one of the last ones. He's got to turn the lights out when he leaves. To the city.
Right halfway in between Fremont and North Bend.
Yep.
Easy.
Always drove by Ames. There was a rumor that they were going to have a gentleman's establishment there.
It did come to
It
fruition.
never did.
Were you looking for work?
Well, this was post DJ days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'd already made peace of that life, Josh. Thank you for asking. But I still did know a lot of the insider moving and shaking that might be happening.
Sure.
John says if you go to Ponca, you got to eat at Bob's Bar in Martinsburg.
Yep, it's
Mm.
really good. You get a hamburger bigger than your face.
Whoa.
We got Gainer. We got a Gainer mention. We got Chester. We got Minneapolis, Nebraska.
What about
Whoa.
North and South Bend, Nebraska? Both exist.
Just wanted to get everybody in there.
Should we just
If
go
you're-
through the list of every town?
If you live in a town that didn't get mentioned in this crossover, please,
Then try harder.
please,
Seek help.
yeah, find a new town.
Well,
What
apparently-
about that town where it's got one old lady and she's the mayor and she runs the bar?
Oh, yeah.
And she's
there's-
also
there's a
a
town?
sheriff.
There's
Yeah.
the town
What's that called?
that when you read it, it's spelled.
Monowai.
Oh, yeah.
In Monowai.
There's a town in Nebraska that when you read it, it looks like it should say Madrid. but the residents of that town pronounce it mattered.
Of course they do.
Oh, wow.
We were at
GBR.
a wedding in Randolph one year, and I remember us asking the lady at the front desk of our motel, because we were at a motel, if there would be any noise complaints if we were out in front of our rooms, having a couple of cocktails later at night. And her response was the most awesome small town thing I've ever heard. She goes, "Well, it depends who's copping tonight. I think if I'm just now going to use a name, if John's copping, you should be good. But if George is copping, you might want to watch.
Pretty
that."
funny.
Like, who's copping? Okay,
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, who's copping?
And that is a great scouting report.
I thought so too. She knows her town and she knows her cops.
Michael says the disrespect for not saying Broken Bow by this page.
Oh,
Broken Bow
that's
is
true. But
My
I feel
mom
like it's a
lives
given.
there. My
Too
mom
big.
lives there.
Yeah,
Too big.
Yeah, Broken Bow's a given.
Everybody knows Broken Bow. Ruskin,
Mhm.
Deschler, Unadilla.
We don't even need to bring up Skylar because Skylar's its
It's
thing.
one of the main hubs.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy your days and
It's
your
lovely
weekends.
naming towns with you, Connor.
Yeah.
That was a half hour.
Have a great weekend and don't beat yourself up for holding your place in line. I think you're well within your
Oh, I'm over
right.
it. You guys gave me the
Yeah.
peace of mind that I
Good.
needed.
Good.
That's
we do.
Crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Friday. We'll start things off next.
Hooper.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Friday. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Going into another bye weekend. I don't know about this whole 2 byes thing. What's up with this season?
Oh,
I'm out.
I guess it's good for the players, but I like having football.
It's just how the calendar worked out, right? The whole 2 byes deal. The season's just extended out and spread out a week this year. I don't like it. We've had to do this twice off of excruciating losses, and it's not been great. It's not been great.
Yeah.
Need another football game. We'll get some football games this weekend, but none of them involving the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Welcome to a Friday show. Even though there will be no football games involving the Nebraska football Cornhuskers, we will still talk about the Nebraska football team. The recruiting side with Bryan Munson, the football side with Brian Christopherson, and then we'll just find out what Sipple's doing. What's Sipple?
Yeah, I need a detailed what's this guy got going on this
What's
weekend?
he up to? Is he taking the hog out this weekend?
Might be the last weekend. I don't know what the weather forecast is like.
Yeah. So that's our lineup, powered by the Roof Rees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We'd love to hear from you all on the 42 Degrees Source Hotline.
Gonna rain tomorrow.
402-951-1620. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor and Josh Show at 1620thezone.com. And the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. We say good morning to the YouTubers today who are continuing to name towns.
Please keep doing that forever.
That's fine. Once again, if we didn't name your town in that crossover, then I don't know. You should probably. We got through a lot of them. As a texter writes in, that sure was a half hour. I'm going to flip over to footage of Bubba listing names of shrimp dishes. You can boil it. You know, you didn't do whatever you want, but that's about it. Eventually, you get to the end of the line in Nebraska towns. That's about it. That is about it. I think we covered it all. Elsewhere on the show today, we'll make our picks for the weekend. The SEC takes center stage this weekend. The Big Ten kind of had it last weekend, and now it is the SEC's turn. And speaking of one particular SEC game, we will dive into the drama surrounding a live tiger at the LSU game. We made the assumption yesterday, as we saw the headline, that a live tiger was going to be at the LSU-Alabama game on the sideline on Saturday, that it would be Mike the Tiger. Mike 7 is the current Tiger for the LSU Tigers. But it will not be Mike the Tiger. And there is drama surrounding this.
Oh, no.
The Tigers, the LSU Tigers, did away with that tradition a few years ago out of safety for the Tiger. So Mike stays in his enclosure now. And apparently some of the higher ups in the state thought that they needed to have a tiger. And so they found another tiger named Omar. But where they're getting this tiger might be from some questionable hands.
This game warrants a tiger.
We will discuss today on the show, and of course, select that game. Georgia and Ole Miss this weekend as well. Michigan goes to Indiana. Number 8, Indiana, 2 touchdown favorites against the defending national champion Helmet School, Michigan. That's exciting. And then we have Washington, Penn State in the Big Ten. It's not a great weekend in the Big Ten. So Nebraska sits idly by. It's a great excuse for you all to watch basketball and go out to a basketball game this weekend. There's basketball all over the place. Go to a basketball game, Josh. It'll be good for you. Come on. Don't you want to see Fairleigh Dickinson just 2 years removed from them beating the 1 seed in the NCAA tournament as a 16? I would. I'll be there Sunday. I don't know about you.
I will not.
Don't you want to see whatever version of Bethune-Cookman we get? Don't you want to see Bethune-Cookman try to get their revenge from the football game in 2018 where they had to come in as a substitute opponent? I do.
I wish
do.
them well.
You wish the other teams well, Josh, hater of local Nebraska sports teams.
Wow, you're going to come on here and say you hate Bethune-Cookman. Bold take in these trying times, Connor Happer.
Well, you're the one who's saying you hate Nebraska, so I don't know who's worse.
You kind of put me in an unwinnable situation there, Connor.
So yeah, go check out a basketball. It's great. We love basketball.
The squeaking of the shoes, the dribbling of the ball.
Oh, it's fantastic. And we got hockey this weekend. Speaking of hockey, we have tickets to Omaha's hockey game against Western Michigan. You want to talk about hearing things, the slapping of the puck, the skating of the skates, and the sultry voice of Nick Hanley.
That's right.
Here come your Omaha Mavericks.
Telling you not to be a jerk when you're in the stands.
Don't throw stuff on the ice unless it's a fish at that one point. That's it. We have tickets to Omaha, Western Michigan tonight, and we'll have a few opportunities for you to win those throughout the show today. So listen closely, and we'll get that to you. Elsewhere, our big coach buyout's done. We brought you the news yesterday that that Billy Napier is going to be retained at Florida. The why, according to sources, is sort of interesting. So we'll get there. Also, in our history lesson today, we don't have Nebraska. Nebraska's history with bye weeks has been checkered in the past. So we won't dive into that very sad history, but we will dive into a little bit of Utah and BYU. The Holy War is this weekend.
It's back.
It is back, and they are yet again in the same conference. People forget that. They've really been like two ships passing in the night variously throughout the last 20 years. They are back in the same conference, and they'll play each other this weekend, and BYU is undefeated at this point. So Utah has a chance to spoil that. The football was good last night. I'll talk about that for a few. I saw the first iteration of CBS Sports hot seat rankings.
Hot seat rankings.
Who's on the hot seat? Will this warrant a wheel? No, it will not.
Oh, damn.
Also, we'll check in with Dan Lanning and see what shenanigans he's up to.
That guy's always up to something.
Have you seen the latest Dan Lanning shenanigans?
I have not.
The shenanigans, as we're calling them.
Hey, what's that restaurant you like with all the crazy crap on the wall?
Shenanigans.
Ah!
He got really into the Gladiator. He got really into Gladiator last week, and that was their bit.
Gladiator 2 in theaters, November 22nd.
So we can talk about this during the show, but Dan Lanning, as they're finishing off their whooping of Michigan last weekend, decided to call a timeout just so he could gather up all the players, feed them a few Gladiator lines, and then wave at the crowd as they exited. What a move.
Which lines?
What a move. Oh, we might hear some.
Oh, okay. Great.
Might hear some during the show. So yeah, we'll check in on some other things going around college football. Wow, is this true?
Yes.
Nick writes it. What?
I don't know.
You think it's true?
Whatever you're about to say. Yes, it's true.
Let me check on this to make sure. Wow, would you look at that? So Nick says, don't forget Creighton legend Antoine Jones plays for Bethune-Cookman. There you go. There's your Creighton connection. Oh my God. Antoine Jones transferred to Creighton in 2021 as a transfer from Memphis. And
the Memphis to Creighton to Bethune-Cookman pipeline.
Well, not exactly.
Oh, okay.
The Memphis to Creighton, which has happened to you have Antoine Jones, you have Jonathan Lawson, neither of which are here anymore. But after he left Creighton, he transferred to Louisiana. After he left Louisiana, he transferred to the University of Central Florida, at which point he decided to transfer out of UCF to Bethune-Cookman. That's right. Creighton legend Antoine Jones is on his fifth school, and he'll be making a trip to Lincoln tomorrow afternoon. Well, probably like right now.
Very much one of these schools is not like the other scenario. I'll let you decide which one.
Creighton.
Good job.
Did I nail it?
You did.
Well, Bethune-Cookman, I guess.
Well,
no comment.
No comment.
Black Cat says him and Ashworth were in the same high school class. My God. Is that true?
Ashworth has a child.
And Stephen Ashworth has only been to 2 schools. How about that? Antoine Jones is outpacing him in that regard. All right, here we go on a Friday. We'll come back. We'll talk about the football game from last night. Ravens and Bengals. We actually got a good one on Thursday night.
About damn time. It only took 10 weeks.
A predictable finish or a predictable outcome, I should say. Oh, it's a Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow duo. What will happen in this game? It'll be a great game, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch. Jamar Chase will have thousands of yards receiving, but the Ravens will win, and that exact thing happened.
But they'll kind of blow it on the way to winning.
All right, we're back after this on a Friday. Thanks for being with us on 1620 The Zone. Don't forget to get your picks in for four-quarter pick'em this weekend. You could be like our dog, Black Cat. Look at what they're doing to our dogs and our cats. Week 9 of four-quarter pick'em is open. Get your picks in now. There is still time. But if you're just getting in now, you better hope that you rip off a 10-0 weekend. That would be my advice to you, because you're late to the game.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be early to the game, sign up for 1620 the email, and you can enter in those picks on Monday. Yeah, Monday. For all other normies, you could enter them on Tuesday. You could win $2,500 this week, and congratulations to our friend Plaid Cat, who won last week and picked up his normal size check yesterday. There was apparently a ruckus in the hallway during this show.
Yeah, they were waiting for us to.
We didn't take that break, did we?
No.
Play now, 1620thezone.com. A few things here. So we've got some correspondence back to Antoine Jones. So Antoine has played at 5 schools now, his 5th being Bethune-Cookman. He had his freshman season in 2018 and 2019 at Memphis, which means this is his 7th year of college eligibility.
Incredible.
7 years.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
He's got a COVID year. I don't know what happened in 2023, but he didn't play that year. Maybe he was injured or something like that. I'm not sure. But what a ride for Antoine Jones. And then we got an email from Adam who said Antoine Jones and Steven Ashworth were in the same class of 2018. Steven has played for 2 schools and did a 2-year Mormon mission in between. People forget that.
That's right.
Antoine has played for 5 schools now. Also, I saw this during the break. The Big Ten football account put out one of their bits that they record back at Big Ten Media Days, where they ask all the coaches a whimsical question.
Oh, yeah.
Today's question, which emoji do you use the most?
Oh, okay. Good question.
Let's see how on brand this is. Brett Bielema, halo over the head. Didn't give a reason. All right. Dan Lanning, duck.
Sure.
Okay, that makes sense. Ryan Day, rolling eyes emoji. He's always triggered about something.
Yeah.
Interesting. Luke Fickle, shrug emoji.
I don't know, guys. Figure it out.
PJ Fleck, winky face.
Okay. Yeah. No, I could see that.
Deshaun Foster, laughing, crying emoji.
Yeah.
Yep. Matt Rule, head explosion emoji. Head explosion emoji. He said he has 2 daughters, and that was his reasoning for why he uses the head explode. Like, apparently they tell him stuff and he has to act surprised all the time. Head explosion emoji. Lincoln Riley, peace, V, victory, fight on, that thing. If your school has an emoji kind of already built into the system, then you're going to be in good shape here. What do you think Kirk Ferentz said to this question?
What's an emoji?
Almost. He said, I've never used an emoji in my life. He said, I don't use emojis.
Of course.
Jonathan Smith, thumbs up.
Okay.
That's a pretty boring guy.
Mm-hmm.
Jed Fish, thumbs up. Another pretty boring guy. Greg Schiano, the axe, the chop, Rutgers. Sharon Moore, fist pound.
Sure.
And then James Franklin got on there at the end and professed that he can confidently say, much like Al Michaels has said that he's never eaten a vegetable in his life.
Lie.
James Franklin is telling us that he has never once used an emoji in his life. And I also believe that to be a bold-faced lie. Thank you, James Franklin. I appreciate that. Hope you don't lose this weekend. You're going to get run out of that sucker.
If anyone can offer me proof that James Franklin has used an emoji in his life, I will donate some money to your favorite charity.
If you've ever received a text from James Franklin and it was an emoji, please. I don't know why you would have for any reason.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why you're screenshotting years and years old conversations with James Franklin, but if you are, bless you.
So James Franklin is the kind of guy to like, try and beat. I once shared an elevator it was just me and James Franklin.
You?
It was just me and James Franklin. We were in an elevator at one of the stupid media days things. And like
no hangers on with James Franklin, none of his people.
Oh, he must have been going.
Okay.
He must have been. I don't know. He must have been headed to some sort of meeting. It was just me and him, and he tried to strike up this conversation like we were
really?
Like we were, yeah, like he's one of those guys.
Okay.
It's like we're cool.
I thought he would have played it just
we're cool because I'm cool, but you know who I am.
Okay.
That whole thing. So
that actually makes a little bit of sense with James Franklin.
If he's telling people I've never used an emoji before, I'm forced to believe that is a facade. He's hiding something.
Is he hiding?
I believe him to be hiding something. Okay, more on Antoine Jones. Here's Platcat.
Hi, Platcat.
Jones actually committed to Oklahoma State and Texas A&M before even enrolling at Memphis.
Wow.
He's also a walk-on at Bethune-Cookman. The guy just wants to ball, man.
Yeah.
He doesn't care where he is. He just loves ball.
Ball till you fall.
I respect a guy like that. Here's a text from the 402.
Hi, 402.
Scott Strohmeyer's favorite emoji is trophy.
Well, obviously. He's got so many of them.
Does Scott Strohmeyer use emojis? Have you ever received an emoji from Scott Strohmeyer?
I'm going to go through. I don't think I have. I don't immediately recall.
Yeah, it seemed. Yeah. Is he a no punctuation guy?
No. Very, very.
It was very punctual.
Yeah, very, very well written text.
All right, good.
I'll admit it surprised me a little.
Interesting. Okay.
I got no emojis on here.
That's good.
Also, have fewer texts
but at
than
least,
I thought I did.
At least he's not trying to tell you that I've never used an emoji. Guys like that, you can't trust them.
It's all ball with these guys.
It's okay if you have used an emoji for the record. All right, it is Friday. This is how we start a Friday show. We got we got emoji talk. But let's talk some recruiting with Bryan Munson. Is the sky falling? Is the question that we've been evaluating all week, Josh. Is it falling in recruiting? Where are all the commits? Are they sad about Nebraska losing, and are they all about to decommit?
Definitely. It's going to be a walk-on program from now on.
You're going to want to hear this interview. Coming back on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y Wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, it is Friday. Let's talk some curtain with Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Hello, Munson. Happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday, brother. I was just explaining offline. I was like, we're finally getting rain in Texas. So it only rains basically from November to March, and then it just turns off. So we're back into the rainy season down here, man.
Well, you know, you could move a couple hours north and just have that same rain be snow if you're interested.
I tell you what, and I love the state of Wyoming. There's probably not a more beautiful state on this planet for me, you know, to kind of go and visit and stuff like that. But they have been having a heck of a fall. I'm just blown away with what I've seen happening there over the last couple of weeks, man. And yeah, I'd love to see snow for a couple of hours, not for a couple of weeks in October and November.
Yep. Nope. Don't need it. I've seen plenty of the webcams of the interstates in the western portion of Nebraska, and it's just like whiteout conditions, and I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm not. You're never ready for that.
Yeah, there was a 6 mile just total bumper to bumper traffic. Everything was shut down. Yeah. I couldn't get over it.
It feels too early, but it's not when you really think. I mean, it's November, so like it can snow now, I suppose.
It's not a faux pas now anymore.
Right.
I mean, I don't know about really being like totally like, hey, yeah, let's embrace it. Like, no. I don't think we're quite there yet. But I mean, it's not October, so day after Halloween, you know, gloves come off a little bit.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, Munson. So there, you know, obviously the bye week produced some interesting recruiting stories for Nebraska. I want to get into a few of those, but let's just go general at first here. Like the response that you, if any, have heard to Nebraska's season going the way it has turned now over the last few weeks, and especially with that home game this past weekend where Nebraska had visitors, like, because people always, you know, we do the sky is falling thing when Nebraska loses. What tangible effect does that have on people who are visiting the game or are in the sort of recruiting sphere? Munson? Did we lose him? Oh no, the rain. Okay, we'll call him back. Yeah, I thought I nailed that question. Guess not. We'll call him back here in just a second. But I do want, and Munson wrote about this today a little bit, but you know, we definitely do the whole sky is falling thing, and we're gonna lose all the commits, and it does. I will say that it probably has a different effect on your recruiting operation year 1 to year 2. Like if this downturn happens in year 2, it's just harder to sell. Oh, okay, don't worry about it. We're going to be better the next year. So it's I think it comes at a little bit of a different time, but curious to get Munson's opinion on it as we send him back now as he rejoins us on the 42 Degrees of Source Island. Okay, Munson, did you hear any of the question or all of the question?
I heard you teeing it up, and then those wireless cellular providers, I don't know what to do about those guys. just kidding. I just heard you teeing it up, brother. I heard nothing about the question.
So what tangible results generally have you seen, if any, to Nebraska's season turning the way it has, especially with the loss that they took this past weekend with recruits on campus? Like, is there anything to glean from the way it's been and just sort of the vibe around here the last couple of weeks?
So it's such an interesting question because, I mean, I kind of led off in tunnel talk about it because there's been really, really, really bright points to start the season off. Like you get those wins, you beat Colorado, you know, Raiola looks all the bit, you know, the 5-star that he was out of high school. And then you play Illinois, and then you play Indiana, and then you play Ohio State. And then all of a sudden some of the, you know, the the glamour and the brighter colors are gone. And you do that twice, at home as well. And you're hosting visitors when you're doing it too. So I think that the obvious knee jerk there from everyone is that you don't want to lay an egg on the field, on the scoreboard when you have visitors in town. And that seems like a total given, right? But there are a lot of things here that I think that a recruit focuses on that, isn't just all the way around the scoreboard. And I tried to kind of mention that in 3 and Out because it was really a good weekend, overall, like talking to him. Claude Puma, the guy that the number one offensive tackle or number one player in the state of Illinois next year. The offensive tackle, 6'8", 275-pound guy out of Chicago, blown away, was in awe about his experience in Nebraska. And, you get Hunter Higgins to come back, the defensive lineman from Kansas, for his second visit of the season. And he's saying Nebraska checks all the boxes for him. And those are not the reactions, I think, that people, kind of instinctively kind of say come with a loss. And I think that you have to kind of back out. You got to zoom out, right? You're zoomed in on the scoreboard. You're zoomed in on the field. You're zoomed in on the offense, for example. And in reality, what it's really coming down to, it's like atmosphere, meeting the coaches for the first time, seeing the young guys out there on the football field, playing, being in a football game after, they started horribly and came out in the second half and tried to start doing something and had a pick six, but then they saw them fight all the way to the end. I'm just, there's a need to kind of temper, I think, the ultimate kind of doom and gloom, particularly in the recruiting area, because Nebraska is still very much ahead from where I think things were at a year or two ago. All the reactions so far this weekend were incredibly positive. I have literally, bro, like 2 or 3 more stories and interviews I hadn't even got to. I just was just so busy with other stuff through the week and there's other things that are kind of going on. So, and obviously the coaches are back out on the road. So there'll be more stuff for me to cover, today, from guys they saw last night to Jackson Cantwell Cantwell last night. And then, Rule being in Texas, and things are really still good. And I think the 2026 board that I put on the 3 and Out on Wednesday kind of outlines that. I think people should be really excited about, how they could finish up 2025, potentially. And then looking at 2026 right now, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. And so I want to ask about, the top name on that list, obviously for 2026 for Matt Rule. So the private jet is working a little bit, and Matt Rule's moving around today and yesterday. Jackson Cantwell is going to be one of the stops. They're going to his game tonight, right? Like that is right. That's the stop for them. Where does Nebraska stand in this recruitment? How do you feel about it right now?
I think Nebraska is obviously going to have a spot there for Cantwell on his list, as he's going to have to whittle some things down. And I think from hearing the things that when I talk to other national guys and Cantwell's name comes up, obviously he's dropping a lot of things about Nebraska to them. It's a very genuine thing there. He certainly feels good about the state, given his ties to it. He feels good about the school and the program because of Matt Rule. I think obviously the biggest issue with Jackson Cantwell is where he is, where he lives. And it's a way better situation having him there in Missouri now, in particular, since you have Mosey and Williams recruiting the Missouri area. You didn't have that type of situation with David Sanders Jr. You didn't have an answer for him, living 5 states away versus a state away. So you're talking to a radius guy, and he's a number 1 offensive tackle in next year's class. And he's certainly worth the price of admission. This is a guy that's not only getting recruited to play football, but he's also getting recruited to do track and field. I mean, he is a legitimate athlete. So I think Nebraska is gonna be able to make a serious run at him. Nebraska, obviously, then too, it's like, where else are they going to be? So Cantwell's game, tonight, but then they're also going to go out and see Rule will be out to see Jeremiah Jones earlier today out in Kentucky. So, and then he was in Texas yesterday, like I was mentioning, to see Michael Terry and Bryson Weber and Malcolm Simpson. So I think things look good for Cantwell, but I think the one thing that I like, my summary so far of bi-week recruiting and the trips that these guys are doing and checking in on these guys, Matt Rule's just a road warrior.
Yeah, he's kind of everywhere.
He is totally everywhere. And, he was up seeing Pedshock on Wednesday, and he's in Texas, checking out 3 guys and these guys aren't exactly, near one another, from San Antonio down to the coast, south of Houston. It's a long ways. I don't think I can impress that upon anybody else to kind of tell them that, but, without looking at it on the map. But I mean, there's some real distance between these guys. So he's been on the road 3 days while maybe a couple of the other guys are out there for 2. And he's covering a lot of ground, when it comes to the recruiting road. But it's happening. It's going down the way that we kind of all suspected it would. They're going out there to see all the commitments because they can't see these guys in December for their in-home visit. So it makes a lot of sense. Plus, he's seeing those top targets either in the 25 class, like with Michael Terry or Jackson Cantwell.
Yeah.
Next year.
I wanted to ask you about Terry. So you mentioned he was the San Antonio stop this week. I mean, that's one that we've been watching now for a long time, and I think we've talked about him at various points throughout the year. It's just kind of drug on and on and on now, and we're getting dangerously close to signing day. I mean, Nebraska checking in with him at this point. I like, how would you characterize that sort of visit and what the talks are like right now with him?
I'm stunned. I'm stunned. The people that I trust to kind of help form my opinion thought that Michael Terry was coming off the board at the end of August. They thought he was they've not only thought he was a Texas lean the entire time of his recruitment, they really felt like he was going to come off the board before his senior year, and it was going to be a public announcement. And legitimately, he has not. And it's not that he's a silent verbal to Sarkisian. It's not that he's playing this game with the Huskers. There's no need. There's no need to. He wouldn't have a need to do anything like this. He legitimately is, likes Nebraska. He likes what's going on there. I think he likes the pitch of how they want to plan to use him on their team. I think he likes, having a young quarterback like that he has a connection to in Raiola. So, yeah, I mean, it is genuinely a situation I think that people need to watch. I mean, I think, and this was like a question I would put out there for somebody to ask me later on, like, well, who would I feel better about, like Michael Terry or Dawson Merritt or whatever? I still feel better about the Merritt situation, but I do feel like Nebraska does have something going with Michael Terry at the moment. And Coach McGuire was going to be down there yesterday as well. So, and those coaches, they got to do it at the same time. You can only see a recruit once. A school can only see a recruit once. And when they go down there to do it together, they have to do that together, obviously. So
right.
You can't go in there at different times. So, yeah, I think Nebraska definitely still has something going and brewing there. It's just, I'm a little bit shocked myself based on that, because where people thought things would be by now.
Hey, how do you read into, if you do it all, not which coaches go where, but which coaches are out on the road during this bye week? I know a lot of it is just sort of, somebody's got to be back. A group has to be back here working with the team, and a group's going to be out on the road, and they sort of, switch as the week goes on and stuff like that. Like, do you glean anything from which coaches go out and what they're sort of assigned to throughout the week?
Well, let me tell you what I gleaned from what I've heard and the guys that are going out on the road. Nebraska really likes a couple of non-full-time assistant coaches out there recruiting for them, and that's going to be Keith Williams and Jamar Mosey.
Yep. And you can do that. You just have to, like, so all these people on the staff, you have to pick what?
You can knight them. Yeah, you can knight them, basically. You elevate them into that recruiting role. There's so many coaches can be out on the road, and so many coaches have to be back, right?
Yep.
And you can basically, like I said, you can knight them out and say, okay, you're going to be the one that's going to be out there and going. I mean, Keith Williams is out, seeing the guys in Utah. He's going to go see some guys in Idaho. He's going to go see, he's going to actually come back and see Gregory Patrick, the Chris Patrick's nephew up in Michigan. So that's a situation there where they're entrusting him a lot. Mosey, with beyond just the doors that he can open in going into Kansas City, he's on Twitter last week bragging about him being in the Peach State. He's down in Georgia and he's kicking indoors down there. Now they're turning him loose in Florida. So it's really interesting because I think that you've got a guy there that has got some UCF ties. I think you have a former offensive lineman, that played for Nebraska with Keith Williams. They've got some real kind of interesting, resumes to kind of walk through the door and say, well, here's why I'm here to see you. So those are some guys obviously that I picked up on, and I talked to some guys too. Booth, is going to get a visit from Barthel, and that makes sense obviously because he's a 2025 commitment. But he'll be out on the road too. But I think having both like the Satterfield and Butler, out there on the road, and Raiola out there to see Torres in Florida too, it makes a lot of sense. So I make sense of it this way because I think Nebraska is kind of done in some areas with 2025 guys, trying to get those guys ready for signing day and so on. And I think that there's still some work that kind of is happening to finalize the board and get ready to go turn the page in the 2026 cycle. So that's what I'm kind of paying attention to with some of the other guys. And then obviously you have your top targets that, that you're still trying to kind of nail down in 2025. And Terry, of course, is the top guy on that list for this last bye week.
Absolutely. That is a good scene setter for the final couple weeks here. All right, Munson, we'll let you go. Enjoy that rain you got down there. Appreciate you taking the time. As always, see you later.
Be good, buddy. We'll see you.
That's Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Yeah, I mean, Michael Terry, and if you're still in the mix at all with Dawson Merritt, I mean that's we talk about momentum and if it's real and if it's fake all the time. Like if Nebraska wants to, put a stamp on the class and get some positive momentum going their way, I mean those are two pretty important guys. Just reading tea leaves and things that Munson says and listening to people and reading stuff, like it doesn't feel like Nebraska's chances are great with either of those two, especially given that one is committed to another place right now. But if you're still hanging in there and if you're still checking in, we'll see if they're in the mix as signing day comes about here in just a few weeks.
And you always got to keep in mind that these coaches can't stop recruiting players once they've committed because in a year or 2 years,
portal,
they might be recruited again.
Yeah, I mean, but
so you want to keep the relationship.
You want to keep the relationship, but you could stop. I mean, if you're playing the long game with them, you don't have to put that much attention to them.
Right.
3 weeks before signing day.
Right.
The rest has got other.
You can let it go.
They got other crap to do. The relationship's there. So if they are paying attention to those guys right now, they must think that there is some sliver of a chance that they could ultimately get their commitments at the end of the day. So I think that's probably something to watch in the last few weeks. And yeah, I do think momentum is important. Maybe not as important as we like. It's not as reactionary as we quantify it to be in recruiting. Like, Nebraska lost, guys falling, everybody's decommitting. Goodbye.
Fire everyone.
See you later, program. Nice try. How about you just wrap it up and turn it into a big volleyball palace?
Volleyball school.
Yeah. So, it's not that reactionary after every time Nebraska loses, but I do think momentum, there's something to be said for that. All right. Bryan Christopherson is coming up next. But first, Josh, would you like to go watch some Mavs hockey tonight?
I would love to.
Well, sorry, you can't play.
I'll be running the board for Creighton women's basketball.
But listener could be you.
Oh, wow.
Could
have my tickets.
Go tonight. Western Michigan at Omaha tonight at 7:00 at Baxter Arena. We have a pair of tickets. If you are caller number 3 right now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline, 402-951-1620, 402-951-1620. Caller number 3 right now gets tickets to tonight's UNO hockey game against Western Michigan. You don't even have to do anything. You don't have to ask a complicated question or anything like that. Just be the third caller at 951-1620, and you can go.
But if you can tell us who had the most one-timers in the 2014 season, we will.
Do we give you bonus points?
Bonus points, yes.
Interesting. All right, bonus points are available.
Something to look at.
951-1620. Caller number 3 wins tickets to tonight's Mavs game right now. We'll be back with BC on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian.
Bryan Christopherson.
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B. Rooney drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, let's have our Friday morning brunch. I think it's basically lunchtime, right? Chat with Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247 joins us now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Hi, BC. Is it lunch or brunch?
I feel like brunch is only reserved for the weekend unless you're a certain class of person that I'm not.
No, I don't. I definitely don't eat brunch in the weekdays. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've never really. I could count like 2 or 3 times. I think I've enjoyed what you would call brunch, like on a Thursday or Friday.
I think once you get to 11 o'clock, it's just straight up lunch.
Yeah, especially since people are probably cutting out an hour earlier, so they maybe move up their lunch. I think we're in like 11:30 is like full lunch on Friday. You're in that territory.
I think so too. All right, so let's have our lunchtime chat here with Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. We don't have any food to offer you, but the food can be these questions that I'm about to ask you. How did you feel about the? Were you able to sort of get anything from the response on the Monday press conference from Matt Rule and like it seemed like to me he was at the same time obviously introspective. He talked about that, but also trying to dive his way into finding some answers as to what it takes to get this team consistent in the final 3 games of the year. Like how did that Monday press conference sort of come off to you and did it, and did it set the tone at all for the back 3 games of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I know some people wanted a big headline on Sunday or Monday, that sort of thing. But I think aside from that, and not happening, you'd have to say when you listen to him, I came away thinking he'll do what it takes to if he has to revamp his staff or make changes. I don't think he's going to be shy about that at all.
Yeah.
I never really did think that, but if people were, I guess, pondering that question at all, I mean, that was the biggest takeaway for me is there's confirmation, like whatever it takes was one of his quotes, and where he said, if I feel pressure or I feel this, everybody's got to feel this.
Yeah.
Within players and coaches and all of it. So, I don't think any of the coaches on his staff have ever thought they had a free pass anyway. I don't think that's the way that operation works. But if there were people on the outside who questioned a little bit, I know there's always, this gets associated with coaches all the time, that buddy system, that people think is out there. I don't think that is standing in the way of moves being made if it is felt that's what's needed.
He used the word. I love that he used this word because I feel like this is it. And you wrote about it on Husker 247. He said it's going to talking about the program needing to get to a bowl game. It's going to have to take unbelievable focus because there are 3 good teams left. I think that's the exact word that I would boil it down to for Nebraska. It just seems like at times it's kind of a little bit of everywhere. It's been a problem with the program, I think, since he's sort of taken it over. And I think his sort of thing, his task over the next 3 weeks is trying to get them to focus on these 3 games, even though a lot of the conversation is about, all right, what's it going to look like next year? And that's not helped, by the way, by the fact that you brought in a couple guys who, might have positions on the staff next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, you players on this team have to understand. I mean, and I think most do, but I mean, you only get 12 cracks at this a year at minimum. You're trying to earn a 13th, and you should want to make every one of those worthwhile. And I think that's what's so frustrating to Husker fans and to Matt Rule when is to have a team that is consistently inconsistent the way we've seen it. And you have an opportunity like they had against UCLA, that you biff it. And, that could have been a really cathartic day, I think, for Nebraska football, but it's gone. And you have to really get guys, eyes on the prize here, and the prize might not look like much to a lot of people on the outside. It looks like one of those like 25-cent toys you get to 6 wins. But this program desperately needs that month of at least there's a game in front of Nebraska football. There are practices for young players. There's a carrot out there for 6-year seniors, like Ty Robinson and Isaac Gifford and your veteran guys like Marquise Buford, where they haven't been in that game, a bowl game, and they came back to be in that. And that all has to mean a lot right now to everybody over there. And you would hope it would, because it's not the biggest step or that maybe the levels that people wanted to see this team conquer this year, but it would be something that could help this team going into 25 to have December at least have a different feel. And so, yeah, you got to get guys focused on that. Like, that's out there right now. That is something that is important for you and for this program, for the guys who are leaving, for you to leave for the guys that are coming after you. Hopefully that really connects with guys, because there is a lot to play for these last three weeks, even if some on the outside are looking ahead to next year. Next year is helped by what you do these next 3 to 4 weeks. It means it's all connected. So you got to get everybody to buy into that and go full bore here.
As you sift through the issues that Nebraska has on its plate right now and the things that it needs to correct or at least get better at in the final 3 games of the year in order to grab 1 or 2 of them, do you like? I've been balancing all week that idea of focus, and we talk about it as like the mental stuff all the time, and then the actual football stuff of what Nebraska's not doing. Like, how much of a balance is that in the cause of Nebraska's issues, right? Like, do you look at it as, hey, it's just we need to get better at the football stuff, or is there something more, I guess, global going on in your mind?
I think there probably is something a little more global going on, but I think they have to get it micro on the football stuff with players, like, and hope the rest, that mental part that is hard to like put to words, and you have to lay on the couch for 3 hours to try to figure out, and you still wouldn't have any answers. I don't think you can diagnose that or get that all solved just in 2 weeks. But what you can do is get each player, I think, to look at particular things that they have lacked too. And I know some people didn't love it, but I understood where he was saying, you are sat to the players.
I thought that was a line. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I get that. It's like, you don't want all the players to just be like, oh, Fat's really in it, and it just becomes like this separate. You embrace. You're part of that. Like, you're all part of it. Take it all on together. I know there's guys who feel pressure too when coaches are on the hot seat, to deliver for them. And so there is probably some of that weight, but there's little things that aren't so little that every guy can do better than they've done. We've seen it on, blocks that have failed where, I say this every week on your show, like if you're going to throw a bubble screen to Ja'Cory Barney, maybe that's only like got a maximum on that play of 5 yards, but get 5 yards, maximize everything you can do out there to put yourself in the best situation on the next down. And I think they've got to look under the hood at, can they find a couple trinkets in the red zone that could unlock something down there? Because it feels like it is such a struggle to get in and finish drives. And I think that could be really important in one of these games where it's decided by 3 or 4 points. Maybe it's USC, maybe it's Wisconsin, but there's going to be a drive where you're on the 9-yard line, 1st and goal, and Nebraska has to get in, and that's going to decide if you get to a bowl or not. So, maybe some fresh eyes, as Holgorsen can give a couple ideas he's got there, and that can help on some specific stuff like that. But everybody's just got to look in the mirror a little bit. Rule said Monday, don't fall down when you catch it. And I thought of a particular play where I love Emmett Johnson, but he caught it and he just fell down for 5 yards, and it could have been 15. And it's just like plays like that, guys got to make just as much as the coaches got to make good play calls.
How does Nebraska make it easier for Dylan Raiola in the last 3 weeks? And how can Dylan Raiola make it easier on himself? to the point you just made?
Well, I mean, he's got to look at the mistakes he's made, build up that Rolodex, and there's going to be a couple plays like that where hopefully he's filed away some information and he just makes a better decision the next time. I think there's just been a couple throws that, you could talk in circles around it where he just hasn't made it in the moment, where hopefully he does, like you think of the one to Banks, down the sideline against Ohio State, and the one in the end zone against Illinois. You can't have him back, but there are going to be those plays again. And, hopefully his confidence, that guys can kind of build that up. He's obviously got all the talent in the world. He's a true freshman who's had some mistakes you expect that go with being a young player. And I think he takes information well and tries to learn from it. So hopefully he can. And then the run game. I mean, if you can get a little more out of that and maybe a little bit more consistency with how you stick with it, perhaps that can help in some of the things you're doing with the passing game. As I've said, if with bubble screens and stuff like that, you got to get 5 yards there. So it's 2nd and 5. You can't put them on 2nd and 9 and all those things. So that's how other guys can help them. And then guys got to make that extraordinary play too, not that normal play. Like Isaiah Nair made a couple plays when they were trying to come back where it was really good. Like the catch down the sideline where he kept his feet in bounds on late third quarter. It's that type of stuff you're going to have to ask from other guys. Help your QB out a little bit. Find that play that is a highlight and it's not just a routine play. That's what they're going to need to win a game like USC.
Any thoughts on Nebraska ball from game one as they head into their Bethune-Cookman game tomorrow?
I thought, you saw that team up close the other night too in Omaha. HGTV.
Weird. They were throwing a lot of stuff at you, huh? I mean, that's it was sort of an interest. I mean, it's a really interesting team just in the way that they're set up. But they were a tough out for sure.
Yeah, they're one of those teams. I think you schedule. They were 6-25 last year, and it's like, oh, that's a nice way to start the year. And then they revamped their roster completely and bring in assistant from Mark Pope at BYU, who had, they could score, and they're a tricky first opponent.
That's exactly what Greg McDermott said too. He's like, well, that was the wrong scheduling decision.
Yeah, I think both him and Hoiberg thought that. But I could tell, like, leading into that game, sometimes a coach gives the nice, like, we got to step up, to be ready for these guys. You could tell, like, Hoiberg was genuinely, like, worried about this team, and I was kind of nodding, like a sarcastic nod, thinking, like, oh, that's not a real thing, but it was. So I like the fact that they responded, well with 5 minutes left. It was a 4-point game in Lincoln, and it was good to see Connor Esigian hit a few shots late. I liked Andrew Morgan, what he did with some of his post moves offensively. I know he's got to get back into conditioning shape after his concussion protocol and all that. But there were some things to work with there. I think Raleigh Wooster is really going to be a steady hand for this team when they're in some tight spots, and you sort of saw that in the opener. But it's sort of one of those, like, incomplete right now. Like it was good to see them get tested and respond, and the team they played was probably better than people thought going in. And now you build from your first set of data points, and hopefully are a little more consistent in some areas, and including on the glass where they gave up 15-second chance points in the first half. So that's going to be an area where you got to shore that up a bit.
All right, BC, enjoy your weekend, my friend. Thanks for coming on, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks.
Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. The state of Nebraska as a state has the most respect for UTRGV out of any state in the union.
Probably even more than a lot of the fans within the UTRGV system.
You have 1.8 million respects. You have 1.8 million respects from the state of Nebraska.
That's a good deal.
Actually, there's, I don't know how many basketball like like a quarter of that is actually pays attention to basketball or something like that. You have 400,000 respects.
It's a good amount of respect.
That's a good amount of respects. That'll sell out the stadium.
It's almost as good as the amount of respect we have for our good friend
Mock Pope. My dear friend, Mock Pope. Next thing you know, Rick Pitino is going to show up at a UTRGV game wearing a UTRGV quarter zip saying, my dear friend, Khalil Fennell. I know him from Mock Pope.
Mock Pope told me he's a good guy. And if Mock Pope says you're a good guy, if he vouches for
I have
you,
to believe him. We'll be back with the odd news on the Connor Happer Show next on 1620 The Zone. But first, Kill Switch Engage is coming to Omaha Saturday, March 29th at the Astro. March 29th the next March 29th that there is at the Astro. You can head to 1620thezone.com today to win your way into the show. Once again, that's on our website, 1620thezone.com.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, Josh, time for the odd news. Give it to me.
Okay, well, do you remember a name from, now careful Husker fans, I don't want to trigger anyone. This is a name from our darker past.
Bill Callahan.
Tim Beck.
I do remember Tim Beck. Oh, you think that's darker than it is right now?
Well, that's true.
Oh,
Tim Beck.
We're in blackout curtains right now.
He's the head
Behind
coach
an
at
iron wall.
Coastal Carolina.
He sure is. A pretty good one at that.
Yeah, that's right. Tim Beck was on, I guess it would be Sports Center before last night's App State Coastal Carolina big rivalry game.
Okay.
He was on there with Matt Berry and Dan Mullen.
Oh, those guys like shenanigans.
Yeah, they do, and they found some shenanigans. They discussed local food with the Chanticleer's head coach.
Careful, we're going to get a call from Greg in Myrtle Beach.
That's right. And then as the fans behind the set began chanting, chug, chug, chug.
Oh, yeah, you got to chug.
The three men grabbed beers, made a quick toast, and began chugging. Dan Mullen took a tiny sip. Matt Berry did not imbibe at all, joking, I went to Arizona State. I don't need to prove anything.
Wow. Jeez.
So that left Tim Beck to
the wilder part of this, because what you're going to say is that Tim Beck absolutely slammed his brew.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brewski.
He channeled his inner Jason Kelsey.
Okay, but the bigger deal here is the odd news is Matt Berry saying, I went to Arizona State. I don't need to chug this beer in front of you.
I don't have to prove anything to you.
Wow.
I've chugged a beer before.
Jeez. I mean, he should have immediately been called out on that. I think you got to press him on that.
Feels like a follow-up question's warranted, but Dan Mullen's not going to do it. And Tim Beck just chugged a beer.
If I'm Tim Beck, I'm like, you serious, bro? You serious?
You're not going to chug this beer with me? You're going to make me do it.
Whatever. I don't believe you. You know? Jeez.
In that
Way to
pivotal,
go, Tim Beck.
In that pivotal Sun Belt Conference game, Coastal Carolina won by 2 tutties.
Drunk coach.
Yeah, that's right.
Drunk coach.
That's what they'll say.
But Tim Beck during his time here never struck me as like I'm going to chug this beer guy.
No, absolutely not.
But Tim Beck was kind of maligned at the time, much like everything that happened in the Bo Pelini era. It actually kind of aged pretty well.
Yeah.
I was fine with Tim Beck. There was always this power struggle with him and Bo of like, hand it to Amir. No, I want to chuck it. I want to chuck it 40 times a game. I want to hand it to Amir.
Why does the OC always want to do the opposite of what the head coach wants to do?
And then it's a tale as old as time. And then Bo says, all right, never mind. I'm taking over this headset. And then they run it, what in that one game, it was like 11 times in a row to Amir or something like that. Fun times. Better times.
Fun times. Former Reaver Clev Lubin, 9 tackles, 3 sacks in that game. So just, you could have had him. Anyone else? We go to Thursday Night Football, another football game that took place last night. I don't know about if anyone chugged a beer before it, but
I bet they did.
We now have all seen Derrick Henry's bare ass.
Yeah, we've seen a couple butts this year.
What's with the butts?
Daniel Jones' butt and Derrick Henry's butt.
Yeah. The PG-13 play happened in the 4th quarter of Thursday Night Football last night in Baltimore. Derrick Henry fighting for yards. He burst through the line of scrimmage and barreled his way toward the first down marker, but B.J. Hill caught him from behind and dragged him down. While he was making the tackle, the pants fell below the buttocks region.
Yeah, it wasn't just crack.
No, it was
the whole thing.
It was the full moon was out in Baltimore last night.
The thing the next thing that's going to happen here is not just the backside comes out.
We get full jock.
Yeah, I don't know. Put it on the list. In the next 2 years, there's going to be a wang out. Put it on the list.
And then we're going to have the conversation of, why wasn't he wearing anything over that?
I know.
You can't go commando in those pants.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Trust me.
We're
close.
I think you're right on that.
We're close.
Yeah. Finally, I didn't want to have to talk about this story in the odd news because it's a bunch of people who I don't know and don't care about. But it keeps popping up. It's popped up every day this week. So I feel like we as a sports show are obligated to talk about it.
All right. Well, I don't know what you're going to say.
There's an ever-growing feud between Dave Portnoy and Zach Bryan.
Okay. So let me see if I can get it straight.
Okay.
So Dave Portnoy is friends with the chicken fry.
Yes.
Lady.
Not the song Chicken
No.
Fried.
No, there's a whole
person.
woman named Chicken Fry.
Okay.
And she was dating Zach Bryan.
That's right.
And they have broken up.
That's right.
And Dave Portnoy wrote a diss track.
He wrote a diss track about it. He employs Chicken Fry to some
they
level?
do a podcast together.
Okay.
They do a podcast together.
Great.
With a child from TikTok.
Great.
Honestly, it kind of seems like the Zach Bryan guy deserves it.
Okay. That was the vibe I was getting, and I
Yeah.
said, I cannot actually be siding with Dave Portnoy on an issue here, right?
Yeah.
Something's wrong with me. I'm the problem.
No, yeah.
Dave recounted the alleged incident at the July Zach Bryan concert at Gillette Stadium. Imagine that, just outside of Boston. And Brianna Chicken Fry LaPaglia, I believe I'm saying this right.
I think that's right.
Responded on Thursday's BFFs podcast.
I think the odd news should just be Josh reads to us about TikTok beefs.
That's a good bit. That's a good bit.
It is pretty funny.
TikTok beef of the week.
Yeah.
Saying she had no clue what went down, so she needed Dave to explain it. He said at one point he was heading back to the dressing room when he caught sight of Zach, who was escorting a rescue dog out of the concert, you can't have that dog in here, sort of thing. I guess Dave brought his dog to the concert or something.
Oh, I don't think that was. Is this
Peaches?
the main point? Oh, yes, he has a famous dog.
What's a Miss Peaches?
That's his famous dog.
Okay, the dog is famous. Okay,
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
Well, he apparently brought the dog to the Zach Bryan concert, which is apparently a thing Dave Portnoy thinks he can do. And this enraged Zach Bryan to where he kicked them both out of the dressing room.
So I didn't know about that specific one. I thought that he was mad at him because he's just generally a jackwagon.
Yeah.
He broke up with her and didn't treat her good.
Yeah, it sounds like he did not treat her well.
Yeah.
SEAL Team Nick says we got a real pot kettle magoosh situation.
Yeah, we're not
going on
exactly
here.
sure what to do with this, given histories.
It's just one of those things that I saw one time and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a thing. And I saw it another time and another time. I'm like, okay, do we need to talk about this?
It's good to have the information.
Yeah,
out there.
it's
also I really
adjacent.
love
it's TikTok beef.
I really love you finding out about the various characters of the story.
I like learning,
like Brianna
Chicken
Fry
LaPaglia.
Yes.
What's her get down?
So
what's her thing? What's her gimmick?
I'm not sure how it started.
Okay.
But
I'm
she
gonna
became
guess-
famous online.
I'm going to guess she was a pretty woman on TikTok. Is how it started.
I'm not sure. I can't confirm that.
Okay.
But the latest one that I've heard is that he tried to make her sign an NDA and offered her a boatload of money. And she was like, "No, I'm talking about this on every podcast in the world."
I have heard of this from specifically the country music superstars.
The country music superstars are telling you this?
I have heard from several people in the orbit of country music superstars that there are many NDAs for, don't tell my wife this is happening.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
She seems like a nice girl. She looks nice.
I have no idea.
Nice girl.
I can't vouch for any of their personalities.
Oh, okay.
And any person in this story's personalities. But judging off of what I know, it feels like Zach Bryan is bad. In this specific situation.
Here's a story from Us Weekly.
All right.
I don't know. I don't have the date on this, but
Hit me.
Is Brianna's last name actually Chicken Fry?
No, it's LaPaglia.
No.
You just said it.
And why would you think her last name is actually Chicken Fry, even if you didn't have LaPaglia?
Just Google me. I'm Chicken Fry. All right, thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
Yeah, we'll have to keep that up. The TikTok beef of the week.
I kind of like it.
Coming at you weekly here on the Odd News. We'll be back with the noon hour. Let's play a little game of should I have said that?
Whoa.
But we're not talking about me.
Oh, okay.
I should say we're going to play a game of should he have said that?
Okay.
And who's the he? It's Matt Rule. Next on 1620 The Zone.
Yeah, Dylan's going to play.
He has the latest sports news, expert analysis, award-winning commentary, and a pocket full of cabbage.
Can you give us an indication why?
Just in case there's a sauerkraut emergency.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get an update here from Crime Town as we welcome you back here on a Friday.
Oh, wow.
The
What are we
Connor
up to in
Happer
Crime Town?
Show on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Here's what we're up to in Crime Town. This is from Matt Olberding at Lincoln Biz Buzz, your eye in the street, covering the business news for the Lincoln Journal-Star.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, this is real. I'm just glad that Matt was there to see this. Here it is.
Has someone taken a bobcat again?
No.
Okay.
No. A guy just stopped in the middle of the street outside of the Journal-Star opened his door, and took a leak in the street. Then he got back in his truck and drove off.
Okay. So it didn't have anything to do with the Lincoln Journal-Star specifically?
No.
Okay.
No. Where do people get the gall these days?
You got to go, Connor.
No, that's not true. You have to hold it. These are the rules.
Have you been to San Francisco lately?
I have been told that there's just pee everywhere in San Francisco.
Yeah. Other things too.
Lincoln is the San Francisco of Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Lincoln,
poll question?
Yeah, probably. That it's dirty, there's crime, and there's pee everywhere. What if you saw that? I'm just driving down the street, having a nice day downtown, and actually, I don't know where the Journal-Star building is anymore. It used to be downtown. I have no idea where the Journal-Star building is anymore. But Lincoln has changed so much. Lincoln is like a combination of 7 towns pushed into one, or 7 different eras pushed into one. Anyway, you're driving down the street. Guy stops his car in the middle of the street. What the hell's going to happen here? Is he mad at me? And he just gets out, take a whiz, and gets back in.
Connor.
What?
I just Googled the address for the Lincoln Journal-Star.
Where is it? Is it in Omaha?
It's on P Street.
Okay.
It's on P Street.
You can't think that's that funny.
It is.
Why are you laughing so hard?
Because I'm a child.
Stop it. It's the letter P.
The letter P.
All right. You can't be laughing that hard at the letter P.
I can't. You won't let me?
You're going to do it anyway.
Chef's kiss. We needed that.
You good? P Street. It is on. Hey, P Street. It's there's many things are on P Street. I think there's a Wendy's on P Street. What?
Now I'm very aware of my laugh.
It's all the streets of the names downtown. All the names of the streets downtown. They're just. There's O is the main one. And then,
I know that one.
And then there's Q, R,
sure, S.
Well, yeah. You go There's P's in there too.
Sure, it's one of our best letters.
Where is it? Can you read me the exact address of the Journal-Star building?
926 P Street. Looks like a nice building.
9th and P. That guy took a 9th and P right in the street.
Well, I'm on P Street.
We have received a text, by the way, from Greg in Myrtle Beach.
I'm pretty sure that was him trying to call.
Oh,
during the odd news.
Yeah. Josh couldn't answer. He was too busy.
No.
He was talking.
He was delivering the odd news.
He says this, though. Coastal fans, thank producer Josh and Coach Stroh at Iowa Western for the stud Clev Lubin.
You're welcome. That's one of my favorite guys to ever play football there.
Best Bandit backer in years and has been dominant as a redshirt sophomore. Bravo.
The transfer from Army, Clev Lubin.
Clev.
He always called me sir, and I'm like, don't do that.
Well, he was an Army.
I know.
Yeah, you're not the sir. Other people could be the sir.
A lot of Stroh's players, yes sir, no sir. I'm like, no, stop that.
Jesse writes in.
Hi, Jesse.
Come on, Connor. You've never had an uncontrollable laugh? It's refreshing. No, I have. I've laughed at weird stuff. That's for sure. That just really tickled Josh. There's just things that really get you in the right place.
Yeah, like, okay, what street is this on? Let's take a look here. It's on P Street. He peed on P Street.
He did. Charles writes in.
Hi, Charles.
At 1620 The Zone TV, you're in trouble. Good question from John.
Hi, John.
On the Equitable Bank inbox. Did the license plate of the truck the guy got out with start with a number and a dash by chance? Oh, I bet he was a 3 letters and a 3 numbers guy.
Oh.
Crime Town written all over him. I suppose that could be Douglas County too.
Good place to start, though.
All right, let's play a little game of should he have said that?
Interesting.
It's the newest game here on 1620 The Zone. We're going to talk to Sipple in a little bit, and I will ask him the question.
Ooh.
Should he have said that? Let's go back to this is August 26th, Josh.
Okay.
This is a week where we're throwing quotes back in faces of people.
We really are doing that a lot lately.
It's probably not the best practice. We should let bygones be bygones.
Oh, we love receipts though.
But I'd like to evaluate this. It's really a combination of two quotes from Matt Rule. He's the subject of today's show. Should he have said that? Talking about Dylan Raiola and the things that they were going to put on his plate right away. Josh, are we ready for some vidya?
Oh, yes, vidya.
Are we prepared?
I'm ready.
Here's Matt Rule.
Yeah, Dylan's going to play. He's going to play the plays, right? He's going to, when we call drop back, he's going to go back there, take his drop, go through his progression. Just how we want him to play when he's a junior. We're going to start day one that way. We're not easing into anything. That's the secret sauce of where we have to get to with this team, right? But so that's why I'm not easing into it. I'm not going to just sit there and say, "Hey, Dylan, hand the ball off 42 times. Don't throw it. Oh, hey, go win the game for us." I'd rather coach the mistakes now, and if there are mistakes, coach the mistakes, and then when the time comes, he's prepared for those big moments.
We're not. It's a game of should he have said that, but it's also a game of should he have done that. That's the question that I'd like to ask you all today. Given where Dylan Raiola is at now, he's a player whose confidence has been shaken. He's had a lot put on his shoulders this year.
He has.
So I've been thinking a lot about the ways to get Dylan Raiola going, and I've said it over and over again on this show or wherever else. Like I think he needs to feel good about some things right now. I think they need to get him some easy stuff to do. But that was the whole point at the beginning of the season from Rule. Basically, what he's saying is we're not going to artificially manufacture confidence for him just so he can feel good and then, ease him into whatever we're going to ask him to do in a couple years or, whatever it might be. Like we're not going to play it that way. We are going to treat him like we're going to treat him when he's a junior right now. We're going to expect that he can make all these plays, make all these throws, and consistently do it. And to Rule's credit, he was doing that for the first few games of the year. But maybe this is the time where you can reevaluate that a little bit. Because I just think desperately this offense needs a jump start. And you have it's easy. Don't get me wrong. It's easier said than done. What I'm suggesting, right? I'm telling you, I just think they need to get them going, right? Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier said than done. But I'm saying, get him some quick reads, some easier stuff to look at. It just feels like he's moving really slowly right now. It feels like he's moving real. Mario Verduzco always had the thing, and I know it's a bad word around here, but Mario Verduzco always had a thing when he was here talking about quarterbacks and being quick blinkers. Quick blinkers or not quick blinkers, right? If you're a quick blinker, then you can process the information and make the decision and do it fast and still play fast at the same time. And Dylan Raiola has lost the ability to quickly blink throughout this year. His processing has slowed, and thus his play has slowed. His feet have slowed. His decision making has slowed throughout the year. And so that can be a tough thing to come back from. We've seen, the previous 4-year starting quarterback at Nebraska, Adrian Martinez, is followed a similar path. Pretty good at first, wasn't really thinking, got a lot put on his plate, kind of broke down around him, slowed decision-making. He was never the same again. It's not over for Dylan Raiola. It's not like this isn't, but you don't want quarterbacks to go to this place where they're losing confidence. And I will add this, I especially don't want the quarterback to go to a place where he's lost confidence when he's really never lost confidence before. He's a 5-star quarterback. He's a highly touted guy. He's
had very little resistance in his career.
That's a good way to put it. I don't want to make it seem like he's had an easy route to get where he's, because he's worked hard and all of that stuff. But like every step of the way he's gone through in his football playing life has been like, oh, this guy is really, really good into high school, through high school. I mean, hell, his dad is Dominic Raiola. He played in the NFL for a decade, right? So it's, I'm not trying to say that it has been easy for him, but his path to getting where he's a 5-star quarterback and being the quote unquote savior of Nebraska or whatever, wherever he wanted to go, he would have had those expectations put on him. It has, once again, I'm not trying to say he hasn't worked for it, because that's not what I'm trying to do here. But different quarterbacks take different paths. And so I think for a guy who's never really experienced this dramatic lack of confidence before, because if I'm to diagnose it, that's a lot of what I see with Dylan right now. I don't know what everybody else is sort of looking at, but I see a lack of confidence with him. I see a slowed decision making. I see the lack of ability, or the lack of want to make dynamic throws out of potentially like fear of throwing an interception. And I don't know how that got baked into the cake for him, but that's sort of what we're looking at here. Now, I don't care that he said it, and I don't care that they did it that way. Although I would have liked to see a little bit more of like, hey, let's ease him in a little bit.
I think it's an instance where Matt Rule actually said, he kind of goes on and on in those pressers. I think it's a situation where he just said a little too much there. And it should have been, it should have just been, we're not going to trade him with kid gloves. He can run this offense. We're confident in that.
It doesn't really bother me that much that he said any of it. And I'm just like, they can backtrack now. I just don't want them to be beholden to it. I don't want them to be like, hey, we said we were going to throw stuff on his plate, so we have to throw stuff on his plate. They have to reevaluate their situation right now and look at what is best for this team and say, yeah, this offense might need to be treated with kid gloves at the moment. It might need training wheels. And so, like, I think you're going to have a really, really tough time digging yourself out of this hole if you don't attach an engine to the bike, if you don't walk the bike up the hill, rather than just trying to ride it all the way up the hill and falling off or rolling backwards several times. Like, it's a hard pit to climb out of. So help yourself. I don't want them to be beholden to the idea that, hey, we said we were going to do this and we have to do it this way. And for the record, I don't think Matt Rule is that kind of guy. We've seen examples of that this week where he's brought in outside eyes and stuff like that. Like he's as he said, he's clearly going to do whatever it takes, as he sort of proved this week. But the Dylan Raiola situation is a really tough one and I think a touchy one, because he's he's different than everybody else on the team, and in order for Nebraska to get it rolling, they got to get him right for sure. So I mean, to go back, it's not really a game that we're playing here. It's just more of an excuse or an avenue to get me talking about this a little bit. But I don't mind that he said it. I don't even mind that they did it. I just think they need to sort of change course on how they are approaching the position and approaching the play at the quarterback spot. All right, want to hear from you guys. 429511620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. We have great phones. Here's Jeff, who writes in on the text line. Maybe let's not throw everything on a freshman, even if he is a 5-star. Yeah, I think it just sort of worked out that way, right? Like they were going to throw everything at him because they thought that he could handle it, right, from the reads and the stuff that they were, having him do in the games. But I think they thought they'd have a better running game, and that would have eased the pressure a little bit. I think he thought that they would get more from their wide receivers that came in as transfers, which they haven't. And so all this is sort of like, so that's why I don't mind the idea. But a couple directions have turned the wrong way. A couple, turns have gone the wrong way. And now all of a sudden you're dealing with a guy who, I think definitively just looks completely different than he did at the start of his season. It's only been 9 games. What'd the caller say, Josh?
He just wanted to ask if these are Dylan Raiola problems or Sadie problems.
Oh, it's both.
Yeah, I would say so.
What was the caller insinuating that it's just Sadie problems?
I don't know. Didn't hang on long enough.
He's just, I always say this. He ultimately, Marcus Satterfield is going to be held responsible for the offense. Like, we don't have to really point fingers or worry about that. But like, if Nebraska, this is why I don't like, this is why the conversation is stupid about firing offensive coordinators and stuff like that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it, but when Nebraska fires Marcus Satterfield or they remove him as their offensive coordinator, they still have a problem.
Right. Many people at Memorial Stadium said there were many open receivers against UCLA that the ball did not go to.
They still have a problem, and the problem is to fix the offense and fix the quarterback. Right? So people are like, well, I won't rest until they fire Marcus Satterfield. Okay, great. Rest, but Nebraska's still got to, whenever they do that, rest, but Nebraska's still got a problem.
They're still in the hole. They still got to get out of the hole.
Right. Maybe that's a step.
You have replaced the person that got you in the hole.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Texter from the 402 says maybe something a little bit more eloquently than I was trying to say it earlier. His previous work has always yielded positive results. Now the work he's putting in isn't ending with the positive results that he is used to. Same thing happened with...
That's not the worst thing in the world either.
No. And Rule's point on Monday was it can, like, if he does get through it,
right,
he will be better on the other side.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Like, we've seen a lot of really good quarterbacks who just never have adversity.
That's true.
They just never have adversity, and they're just always really good. Then they go to the NFL, and it becomes a little bit more challenging for them. But that is only partly Matt Rule's responsibility. That we talked about this briefly earlier in the week, but I love the idea that they're selling to people, hey, come here and we'll turn you into a professional. We'll develop you because we sort of know what it takes to get you there. And I think that's right. But at the same time, Nebraska has to create environments where they can be good at college football. Like, they could be good at the football while they're playing at Nebraska. And sometimes that takes artificially making it easier on some guys. I don't see the crime in that, but and maybe Matt Rule now doesn't either. Like, if you're bringing in Dana Holgorsen to coordinate the offense, it's going to be easier on the quarterback. So maybe what he's done this week is a sign that he has thought about this a little bit differently. No, and the original plan wasn't necessarily going to work. Or as they evaluated it, it wasn't working. Jeff writes in, he says,
hi, Jeff.
The Sadie stuff can stop. It's obvious the new OC is already on campus. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You got what you wanted.
Yeah, it's done. We don't have to yell at the guy anymore. Although, there are 3 games left. There's no game. Nebraska's got to win one more. Like, they have to. They got to win one more game. Because they can't start 5-1 and finish 5-7. That would be horrible. Bad deal. Then people would call me responsible.
Well, yeah. Dante Dowdell, 6 yards behind last year's leading rusher for the Huskers.
It was Heinrich Harburg.
It was. He's 6 yards behind Heine. Now, the team as a whole, very far behind last year.
That's the more important part. Yeah.
Also, they're just out of curiosity, I looked it up. They have 400 less rush yards as a team than Ashton Genty has as a person.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. 1,500 to 1,100.
Yep.
That guy's good.
He's got 1,500 yards already?
Yeah.
Dear Lord. All right, to the phones here, 42 Degrees Source Hotline. Here's Mark. Mark, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Man, I hate this vent. I guess I'm going to be honest with you. Just shame on our coaches for putting a freshman in the position that if it's not about him, we cannot be successful. I mean, you just gave over the stats from last year to this year, so nothing's gotten really better in the run game. And we expected a freshman to come in who had 2 great games, probably because his head wasn't all mushy like it is right now. So all of a sudden come out and be successful in the Big Ten through the whole season. I mean, I think that was just so asinine. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what they're thinking right now. My other question is, if the new offensive coordinator is there, and I'm looking at him, and he's the offensive coordinator, he's looking at the offensive line coach, who hadn't got better in the last couple of years, you got to ask yourself, does he really want to keep Raiola's uncle as his offensive line coach? I mean, there's a lot that goes into this than just replacing an offensive coordinator. I mean, he may want some of his guys to come in there. He may not want a 24-year-old McGuire teaching kids how to be a receiver who he's never been a receiver himself. There's just so much to this that just makes this just so muddy and frustrating.
Yeah.
I just want to hear your thoughts.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate the call. I would say that all that depends on how much autonomy the new offensive coordinator gets. If there is to be a new offensive coordinator, because we still legally have to say that.
Yeah.
If there is to be a new offensive coordinator, and if it is Dana Holgorsen, yeah, he might have some things that he wants, but how much autonomy is he going to get? I don't think that he's probably going to be allowed. I don't know if he would want to. I don't know what he would be looking for, what he would want. I would say this about Donovan Raiola has caught some strays because the offensive line coach just always catches strays at Nebraska. I don't see much of a problem there at the moment. I don't. And people always say, well, did you just hear the stats? Nebraska can't run the freaking ball. Watch the running backs. They don't run to the right place.
You might be on to something.
I don't think it's all on them. Every play is a different play. Of course, they've missed things, but I think Nebraska could be doing a whole hell of a lot better with what their offensive line is right now. I'll just say it that way. I don't think that's the weak link. I don't. But
What is, Connor?
I don't know. Position group by position group?
I don't know.
Gosh, I guess I probably would say running backs. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I probably would say running backs. Got to have a playmaker back there. Some of this stupid rotation stuff too.
Yeah. See, that's my thing. They have several very nice running backs, but not a playmaker.
Yeah. You could find one. You're Nebraska. All right, we'll come back with Stephen M. Sipple.
Hopefully.
I like our chances.
Chances are very good.
I like our chances. We'll see what's going on. We'll see if he was the guy who peed on P Street.
It's possible.
Next on 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple,
The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha! Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Let's have a chat with our dear friend, Stephen M. Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. He joins us now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. Sipple, hello. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for the Steither intro. I appreciate that.
You are very welcome. I don't know where Seether's at next, but I think they make the tour stop probably about once a year in Nebraska. I imagine you'll be there.
I have never seen him play live.
Oh, you got to. What are you doing right now? Are you taking the hog out this weekend?
Yeah, probably, actually. Right now, my dad's blowing up my phone for some reason at an opportune time. Hold on. I'm going to text him while I'm on the thing.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
On radio now.
I don't think the voice to text works when you're talking to us. You have to actually like type it.
I did it.
Okay.
I just pulled into a lot to talk to you on the way to the bank, then on the way to Wright.
Oh, boy.
Bank or Happer, bank, Wright. That'll take me till 6, and I don't know what.
Wow, sounds like a good afternoon. We were just talking about the idea, Sipple, and I'd like to get your thought on it. Of how much Nebraska has put on Dylan Raiola's plate this year, and if that is responsible for some of what has happened with him in particular over the last couple games. Like if you are to diagnose the root of the problem for Dylan in particular, what do you think? Where do you go to first?
As usual, these are always layered.
Yes.
This is a very layered conversation. Where I'd go with it now, 9 games in? Are we 9 in?
9.
Yeah. Okay, so 9 games in, I say with certainty, and this is an annual refrain that people are very tired of, but needs to be said. And I don't mind being the one to give voice to it. So I would start the conversation right here. 9 games in, you cannot identify on Nebraska's offense a first-team All-Big Ten player, a second-team All-Big Ten player, or a third-team All-Big Ten player. To me, that's where the conversation starts. It doesn't necessarily end there, but that's it. You don't have, you can't, there's no way you're going to make a case for any of those players to be third-team All-Big Ten, let alone first-team. So that's an immediate issue. Now, I didn't anticipate that. I thought there might be a guy or 2 or 3 even that you'd say, no, wait a second. That they could be a first-team guy or a second-team guy. No, nobody's played at that level. Okay, you have substandard play calling. Okay, so now, so I guess what I'm telling you is you're putting a lot on. You're putting a lot on. It's got to get that. It's another case of Nebraska. It looks like they have a pretty good quarterback, and they better get some guys around him fast. Okay, fast. Not 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly.
So we played the clip just a few minutes ago from Rule at the beginning of the year when he was talking about, sort of, I'm paraphrasing, but treating Raiola, throwing him basically into the fire where they just, Rule said basically we're not going to like artificially make it easy for him right out of the gate, right? They wanted to treat him like, the problems that he was going to face now are the same problems he'll be facing in 2 years. And on its face, I don't have an issue with that, but I do think there are sort of ways where you can maybe make it easy. Like, do you think there are ways where they can make it easier on him just to sort of get his confidence back moving in the right direction?
Oh yeah, really, like sort of layman-esque ways you can do it. I mean, I'm not a play caller. I've never coached football, but I can. You've watched a lot of football. You guys have watched football. One thing you could do with Dylan is just start with short and intermediate passes right out of the gate and get him going, get him in some flow. Throw throw to the sideline left, throw to the sideline right, throw a spot route to Fedoni, get him about 6 for 6 for 40 yards, and then start working down the field a little bit. Now that's not, I didn't include the running game in that discussion, but the running game's got to be in there too. But yeah, we don't really see that.
No.
You know. But if I were Dana Holgorsen, that's the sort of thing that I think you could go to Dylan with, go to Coach Rule with, and say, hey, I got a plan. I mean, that's one way we can do this. It doesn't seem like they have an overall plan for Dylan, but that doesn't mean there's 3 games left, so it could happen.
I like how you mentioned Holgorsen there. Like, is that one of the things that, you know, people have been trying to sort of figure out this week? All right, what do the next 3 weeks look like for him, and as far as his tangible effect on what Nebraska does on the offensive side of the ball before the conversation sort of moves to the next level on like what his role will be next year? When you think about what he can bring to the table this season, what do you think?
Well, it's just all it's all, fortunately right now, because we haven't heard from Matt Rule, there's a lot left to the imagination.
Yeah.
Which makes for a more provocative discussion, which the coach could squelch on Monday.
Sure.
So, but for the time being, we can let our imaginations run wild. I would say this, Happer, I don't think we're letting our imaginations run wild to think that right out of the gate, Dana Holgorsen will have some wrinkles for Nebraska that they're pretty evident against USC. I think it's very conceivable. I'm not saying it for sure, but now I don't want to act like some of this is just wild speculation. It's not. I've talked to people that are directly involved in this. What it comes down to is how much will Rule allow.
Right.
If Holgorsen had his way, I know enough about him that he would come in and say, "I'll call play. I can call play." That's my guess. Again, my imagination's running wild a little bit, but there's also some informed speculation in there. Now Rule could just put the hammer on all of this and say, "You guys are crazy." I don't know. I'm very interested in what he says Monday. My guess is he'll play it down. He'll play it down, but I'm going to remain in the mode of, oh no, come on. You know, Holgorsen, anybody who has any idea what Holgorsen's like understands he's not going to come in here and sit in the back of the room, file out to a hotel and not say anything. I mean, he's here to. My guess is he's here to make a difference, and my guess is he will make a difference.
Yeah, that was sort of my thought too, Sip. Like he's not here if he does. Holgorsen isn't here if he doesn't have some level of autonomy, and maybe you get eased into that situation, but like he's here to put clean eyes on the situation. Okay, what do we do? Not that Rule has to take his word as the Bible, you know, but it all comes back to him. But still, I do think there's a lot in there that Holgorsen could bring to the table, and that I would assume that was part of the deal when the two sides made contact.
I would think so. And why would you bring in Dana Holgorsen? Well, I mean, to get the ball downfield. I mean, vertical routes. He's a Leach disciple, and vertical routes are a big part of that. Reading coverages on the fly is a big part of that. I don't know how much you can teach of that and get it so players understand it, so they and understand to the level where they can execute it in a game. I don't know, but there's also pre-snap stuff that he can offer, bunch sets. He's known for that. He was running two-back. He was running a lot of two-back stuff at Houston. Not known for running, I get it. But, yeah, I mean, my thinking kind of has evolved on the Holgorsen front as the week has gone on. I've talked to some people. I think his input could be obviously more evident than Phil Snow's, if only because the defense hasn't been a train wreck. The defense has been okay most of the time.
Right.
But and it's just also Holgorsen's nature too. Phil Snow's an even keel, not as charismatic, outwardly charismatic as Holgorsen. So yeah, you can tell I'm very interested in what this might end up looking like.
There hasn't been much conversation this week about what Phil Snow, because of what you said, right? The defense is, most people feel okay about that right now. And the person, and I think more specifically, Sipple, like the person who's in charge of the defense. But Phil Snow enters. Like, what do you see with that in the short term and the long term for Nebraska?
Well, the thing that Dannon points to, we had an interview with Husker Online with Dan, and Dannon explicitly said Snow's been helping for weeks, just not on site. His eyes have been on Nebraska's defense for, my impression was the entire season. So that's partly why it's not as big a conversation. I might, going back to Holgorsen, I think Rule, if he's going to play it down, what he's going to say is, it's just always good to bring in a fresh set of eyes. And he'll say, my guess is he'll say it's not that unusual. But I've never seen it at Nebraska with 3 games to go or 4 games to go or whatever, this sort of situation. But I think it is somewhat unusual to bring it someone that Holgorsen. It's mainly a Holgorsen conversation because he's so high profile. Now, Snow, like in the coaching business among coaches, would probably be considered high profile too within that realm, But in the fandom realm, Snow's name's not nearly as big.
Simple. How before we let you go, how important is it that Nebraska figures something out and not only wins one of these last 3 games? That's obviously huge to get to a bowl game, but to move things in a positive direction, to feel good about yourself going into the offseason.
It's always so hard to quantify, right? But my feelings and my perception is it's monumental. This feels gigantic to get one more win. Just 6 in a row, and it's 6 losses in a row. Come on, I mean, it would. I don't like to say devastating. I think that's overly dramatic, but come on. I mean, this is
a tough one.
Rule said it all, guys. As that press conference was winding down on Monday, as Matt's weekly press conference, he said twice, he repeated it. He said, "There's nothing I won't do to get this program over the hump." I paraphrased the last part of it. There's nothing I won't do to, what I heard basically is that there's nothing I won't do to get one more win or 2 more wins or 3 more wins. And he said that knowing that Holgorsen was either in Lincoln or on the way. That's the same with Snow. So that's what he meant. There's nothing he won't do. Now, how's that apply to player personnel? I don't know. Maybe we'll see some changes. I haven't heard anything, but I like the urgency that came out of his voice.
It was a good response.
And let's face it, without overdoing it, it was just the result of a bad loss. I mean, it was, or maybe you'd say 2 bad losses, Indiana, but UCLA was a kind of a different kind of animal. That wasn't expected at all.
No doubt about it. Sipple, appreciate it. Enjoy your afternoon at the bank and then writing.
Yeah, it's not all that enjoyable, but thank you. I appreciate it.
See you later. That's Steve Sipple, FuskerOnline.com. Going to the bank.
He's always at the bank.
Sipple, he likes his paper checks.
He does.
He does. We know this about him.
That doesn't surprise me about him either if I didn't know that already.
No. Also, texter John writes in,
"Hi, John.
Is Sipple's father the oldest person in America?"
So that was an upset in my book.
Okay. Sipple's not that old. He's not that old.
How old is he? Do you have a number?
He's in his 50s, I think.
Really?
What'd you think? He's in his 80s?
No, I would have started with a 6.
I think he's in his 50s.
Good for him.
All right.
Taking the hog out.
Gotta let the dogs out every once in a while. All right. We'll come back. We'll finish out the hour with a couple topics. Oh, yeah. We still have to get to the LSU Tiger King story, basically.
Tiger Gate, Holy Wars.
The whole thing. All right, we have also a pair of tickets to tonight's Mavs hockey game. Would you like to go watch some hockey tonight?
Watch some puck.
We have that for you. Call 402-951-1620 right now. UNO plays Western Michigan tonight, 7 o'clock at Baxter Arena. If you'd like to go, if you can go, give us a call, 951-1620 tonight, and be caller number 5. 402-951-1620. We have a pair of tickets to Omaha and Western Michigan at Baxter Arena tonight at 7 o'clock. 951-1620. Call right now. Be caller number 5. We'll be back after this.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Texter writes in at the 402. I think Sipple is 76. I do not think that. I do not think that. He's not 76, guys. I can confirm.
Come on.
He's just not. Big college football games this weekend, 5 of which we'll pick coming up in the 1 o'clock hour.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do that.
One of which we will not. That is the holy war.
Late night game.
Between BYU and Utah. One of the great things about this rivalry, and we'll talk about what it means locally here in just a second, is that when these two teams meet, they both wear their home uniforms. No matter what.
Neither team will budge.
No. It's not. It's actually not. So I was reading the story from ESPN.com on some stories and backstory of the rivalry and how they've sort of been like two ships passing in the night, and in terms of which conference they're in and things like that. So I'll read you this section. It's kind of interesting. One of the first things neutral fans might notice from this game is that both teams will wear their home uniforms, Utah in red and BYU in blue. It stems from Holmo. Holmo is the Holmo is the athletic director at BYU. Can't remember his first name. Anyway, not significant. It stems from his roots in Southern California. For several decades, as UCLA and USC shared the LA Memorial Coliseum, they both donned home uniforms. It's a tradition that went away in 1982 when UCLA started playing their home games at the Rose Bowl, but Pete Carroll brought it back in 2008.
Yeah, that's a good look as well.
Despite it being a violation of NCAA rules.
Okay.
Pete Carroll didn't care either. And then
Pete Carroll didn't care about an NCAA rule, you say.
Shocking, isn't it? Well, then what happened was the NCAA changed the rules. They said, we know that you don't care, so we'll just change the rules so you're not obviously breaking it anymore. So it permitted both teams to have their home uniforms in this game as well, the BYU-Utah game. So then the athletic directors talked about it soon thereafter. And a double part of this is, yes, you'll notice this in the football game. Whenever BYU and Utah play each other in any sport, both teams will wear their color uniforms.
Oh, any sport.
Any sport. The athletic director at BYU said one of the great things about UCLA USC is that they play in their home colors for every game. I said, let's do it. And the athletic director at Utah said, what do you mean? I say, well, where you wear red, we'll wear blue, no matter what the sport is or where the game's played. And so we started this tradition in 2011, and it's kind of fun because the color and pageantry of college football comes out. And so I ask you this. Why can't our two athletic directors in Omaha and Lincoln get together and have the same sort of agreement?
Red and blue.
It looked great when they did it. Gosh, did Nebraska wear red last year? I believe they did. Or I know it happened in 2018 when these two teams played. Creighton and Nebraska we're talking about in basketball at PBA. I was thinking about I don't know why I was thinking about it last night. I don't know. We mentioned the Nebraska Creighton game yesterday on the show, and I thought about all the Creighton Nebraska games that happen in Omaha, and it always feels like Nebraska is wearing some abomination of a uniform. They're black uniforms. They had black uniforms with they had the black uniforms with the game where Taran Petaway and Grant Gibbs kind of had the scuffle thing. Nebraska's wearing just horrendous uniforms in that game.
Like they're trying too hard.
They were black uniforms, and they just had the big block red N on them, and they were nonsensical. So both teams, regardless of sport, regardless of if it's in Omaha or if it's in Lincoln or if it's at some neutral site somewhere around the country, they should both wear black and red. This is my official statement.
I like it. I second this notion.
Yeah. There was also a bunch of stories about the vitriol in this game. Well, we already received the correspondence yesterday from the person who was like, yeah, they're going to fill up piss balloons and start chucking them. There's a story about how a BYU fan came over the railing in 1999 and started wailing on a male Utah cheerleader.
Whoa!
For no apparent reason. See, this is weird and bad, right?
That's what they always say.
Quote, the cheerleader jumped on top of him and started pummeling him. The cheerleader fought back. Everybody in the stadium, 65,000 people were watching this. All I could see was someone pummeling someone on the ground. I thought it was an usher. So running down to the sideline, here's the AD down on the sideline, and by the time I got down there, it had been broken up. I went to talk to the Utah cheerleading coach, and he was telling me what happened. And to this day, there are still stories out there that I got in a fight with a cheerleader.
Oh, no.
You know how stories get warped and twisted. But that is one of the big games this weekend. Of course, BYU has a bunch on the line. Utah does really not. Utah's fallen by the wayside a little bit this year.
I imagine the spread on that has grown throughout the season.
What is it, by the way?
I am on my way there.
Yeah. Yeah.
2.5. The Cougs are favored.
Yeah, they don't know that. They must not know that Utah's defense is horrible. Horrible. YouTube user says, I have an opinion. Connor is correct.
Wow.
On my take that Nebraska and Creighton should wear red blue. Last year at the women's game, Nebraska was home. Nebraska wore white and Creighton wore powder, I think, if I remember correctly. That was
Seems
sort of
like something they would do.
That
sure.
was sort of odd. Like I know Creighton goes powder, whatever it might be. Like Nebraska's got to wear red.
Red.
Creighton's got to wear a version of blue, but the real bright like royal blue.
Mm-hmm.
That's what really makes it pop. Until you watch this game, you'll check into it Saturday night when you're fiending for some more football, and you'll say, "Man, that looks cool. I like that." Elsewhere in college football, I want to talk about another game coming back here. That's LSU and Alabama this weekend. We have Tiger drama down in Louisiana. I'd like you guys to know about this story because it really, really underscores the merging of and the constant merging of college football and politics. I don't want to talk about politics.
Politics.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
A lot going on. We'll be back after this in the 1 o'clock hour on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. Thanks for being with us here on a Friday. Tickets are now on sale for the hottest event in town, the Blue Collar Boxing 2024 at Baxter Arena. Nice big grunt from Josh.
Yeah.
That's Wednesday, November 27th, where local union members will face off in the boxing ring for charity, and proceeds will benefit the Nebraska Center for Workforce Development and Education and United Way of the Midlands. Head to 1620thezone.com today, and there's an online contest. You can enter to win tickets to Blue Collar Boxing 2024, Wednesday, November 27th at Baxter Arena. Once again, 1620thezone.com. LSU, Alabama this weekend. College football playoff eliminator game.
That's right. Big stakes.
Like 95% sure that's true. 95% sure that's true. A college football playoff eliminator.
Never know if Bama's actually eliminated until they're not in.
100. That's the team too. It's like LSU can't lose 3 times.
Right.
But Alabama, they'll probably get 17 things to follow correctly in front of them and somehow be inevitable when they get to the playoff. So these two teams play each other, and there are big stakes. And so all the stops are coming out. For the first time since 2015, LSU will have a live tiger mascot on the sidelines this weekend when the Tigers face Alabama on Saturday. Now, LSU, as a university, owns a tiger.
Yes, they do.
His name is Mike. Mike 7. He sits outside in his enclosure. He lays down. He stalks people. He does tiger stuff. They feed him a bunch of stuff, and he eats it. You know, people go, ooh, people go, ah. They go up to the cage. Wow, it's Mike the Tiger. Comes from a long lineage of Mike the Tigers.
What young child in the state of Louisiana hasn't had their photo taken with Mike the Tiger?
I've had my photo taken with Mike the Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good tiger. Actually, I think it was I guess it was this one. I think it was there in 2018. I think it was this version of Mike the Tiger, who's still fine and just hanging out in his cage. But it will not be that tiger that will be on the sideline for LSU. Essentially, what we have here is a random tiger, not LSU's own tiger. LSU decided to do away with the tradition of Mike being on the sideline several years ago. They were getting a lot of complaints from PETA. Like, come on, can we not have the live tiger out on the sideline? And LSU was finally like, yeah, sure. We'll keep him in his cage. That's probably fine. But the people and the powers that be this week in the state of Louisiana have decided that they need a tiger.
This game has reached tiger status. It warrants a tiger.
A new tiger, according to multiple sources, is coming in from Florida this weekend, and its name is Omar Bradley.
A Florida tiger?
A Florida tiger that has a first and a last name, which is interesting to me. LSU is not commenting on this. They're like, this doesn't have anything to do with us. In fact, this train is being driven by, it appears, the governor of the state of Louisiana.
Sure.
The idea to bring back the live mascot tradition began earlier this season. When asked if LSU fans would see a live tiger inside Tiger Stadium again, Governor Jeff Landry unreservedly threw his support behind the idea last month. He said in October 1st press conference, quote, "I think the opportunity to bring our mascot back on that field is an unbelievable opportunity." Landry pushed to use the current Mike the Tiger, Mike 7, on the field before the Alabama game, but 2 university vice presidents, John Walters and Courtney Phillips, met with him a month ago.
2 of them.
To say that the veterinary school would not and could not allow that, according to LSU sources. So LSU said no. And the LSU vets are like, no. Mike's staying in his cage, all right, his enclosure.
You can't have Mike.
And Landry said, well, guess what? I'll find another tiger. And then, so he has found another tiger. He's found Omar. Where did Omar come from? He came from Florida. Who's
paying for Omar?
Well, I'm not sure who's paying. That's a good question.
Okay.
I'm not sure who's paying for Omar, but who is responsible for Omar? Who owns Omar, the tiger, which is now going to pose basically as Mike the Tiger.
I assume the Honorable Jeff Landry will not be making sure the tiger.
No, the tiger has to have a tiger keeper.
It needs a handler.
It needs a tiger king.
That's right.
And that's what we have. Mitchell Kalmanson owns Omar the tiger, who will be on the sideline for LSU and Alabama tomorrow, and has a long history of citations for mistreating tigers and other animals, and also has several instances, according to PETA, who's written an entire report on this man, several instances of being responsible for leaving the cage open.
Oh, no, that's the one thing you can't do. Whoa, Connor.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I am looking through the PETA report.
It's long. It's many pages.
It is 5 pages long, full of incidents.
Yep.
And it's not like, oh, here's a long description of the incident. Each incident is about a paragraph.
Why don't you give me a little smattering of what we have,
Okay,
Josh?
I'm just going to read one at random. If it's funny or not, I don't know.
Okay.
March 8th, 2016, the USDA cited Kalmanson for failing to have a responsible adult available to accompany an inspector during an animal welfare inspection.
Doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but at the same time, if you own a tiger, you better be all tied up. You know what I mean? You better have your bleep together.
January 29th, 2013, USDA cited Mitchell Kalmanson for failing to have a program of veterinary care for several foxes and a mink.
The USDA in 2016 cited Kalmanson for failing to maintain a transport enclosure in good repair, creating a risk of injury to animals. A resting platform was splintered and had protruding nail heads and screw heads.
Oh, no.
So basically, the governor of Louisiana went to Google and he said, "Get me a tiger for cheap."
Cheap tigers near me.
He Googled cheap tigers near me, and he found this guy who has a long rap sheet of mistreatment of tigers and things of that nature. And they said, yep, this is my guy. What could go wrong is basically the question that they're asking. And yes, LSU wants absolutely nothing to do with this. One would assume that they could block him from entering the stadium, but I don't know. When you're dealing with the governor, I suppose.
Governor of a state school.
Yeah.
This is Governor Landry's first football season as governor.
He's trying to.
I'm guessing there's a bit of a look at me aspect going on.
He's like, no,
here.
I'm for you. I'm for you.
You love tigers on the sideline.
Joe writes
I ran my campaign on it.
If we learned anything during COVID, it's that people who own tigers do not, in fact, have their poop together.
That's right.
Yeah, we essentially have a Tiger King situation on our hands. Maybe not that bad.
He sounds like a character from the show.
Yeah, but LSU is basically, the state of Louisiana is basically contracting Tiger King to bring one of his tigers to the stadium during an LSU football game.
Landry
and put it on the sideline.
He didn't even go to LSU.
What could go wrong?
He went to Louisiana and Loyola University.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good reason why actually, he wants people, like, to your point, Josh, he wants people to like him. So just be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that this Saturday. That's all my, that's any more things that, that our dear Mitchell Kalmanson has done wrong with tigers?
That's not with tigers, but I do see a citation here from 2008. He failed to have proper documentations for 3 zebras he obtained.
Tiger King.
Tiger King. Yep. That was my exact thought when I read that. It's like, oh, just like in the show.
It's happening again.
Uh-huh.
So just be aware of that for this weekend.
Everyone's watching. It's a massive football game, and now it is ran up the news ladder. A lot of people are talking about this.
Well, it involves all of a sudden you get the governor involved, and then it becomes something different.
Yeah, you better make sure this goes right.
Yeah. Dan says on the text line, PETA and I don't really see eye to eye, to put it nicely, but we're kind of in lockstep here as it pertains to this guy. Yeah. This is a rare, maybe one of the only occasions that I've ever seen in my life that would get people on PETA's side.
Yeah.
You can't let this guy and his Tigers into the stadium. Something is going to happen.
No.
And it's going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One more quick thing here before we get to our picks. Take a break here. Big coach buyouts. Billy Napier not going to be getting a big coach buyout, at least not this time around.
Sad.
He'll be back at Florida next year. I was reading through Andrea Adelson's story from ESPN. And in there is obviously the statement from Scott Strickland, who's kind of got a lot on his plate right now, the Florida athletic director. Have you seen the Florida thing?
Oh yeah, there's there's
not good.
There's a basketball thing.
Todd Golden is the student newspaper has done some reporting on what Todd Golden's been up to.
Student newspaper.
Not good. Strickland stressed the need for a disciplined, stable approach and asked Florida fans to continue standing behind Billy and his dedicated team while we work together to build a championship program. A process that I have no problem with, especially from the outside looking in. I'm not sure how Florida fans feel about this, but knowing Florida fans, they're probably like, what the hell is going on here? We could pay for any coach in the country. We could have any coach in the country. Why do we have this idiot as their head coach? But one of the things that Billy Napier has done to earn back some goodwill over the last couple of weeks is, number one, they've played better football. They've played a lot of young players over the last couple of weeks. And there's a line in this story in particular that I wanted to read to you. Sources told ESPN's Pete Thamel that 70% of Florida's name, image, and likeness money is tied to freshmen and sophomores. And there is a sense that losing Napier would also mean losing quarterback DJ Lagway, who chose the Gators to play for Billy Napier. Interesting thing to put in a article about the retention of a much maligned coach. And it sort of gets you thinking a little bit. Well, we have a lot of young NIL money attached to our roster. So basically what you're doing is you're challenging the school and you're saying, all right, hey, just so you guys know, you're not only going to have to pay this buyout, but there's a lot of NIL money attached to our roster that's just not, you're going to get nothing from it. You're going to get nothing from it because they're all going to transfer and leave. That is, of course, if you fire me. Mm-hmm. You do have the option to not fire me. And I'm not saying that happened, but it is a reason for the big coach buyouts to not be there. It is a reason for more patience within a program. If you have young players on your roster and you've had this influx, obviously, Napier's relatively new there, right? You always get the bump right away. Oh man, this is going to be awesome. He's going to bring in all the players. And then you get the donors and the boosters all rallied up behind you and they start paying the money toward the program because they see the bright future and you could sell it and all of that stuff. And it results in a couple pretty good recruiting classes right out of the gate. And then there's a whole bunch of money attached in NIL to those specific players. And then all of a sudden it's not really going well in year 3 or year 4 or year 2 or year 3. And you're like, yeah,
we got to compete.
Don't you kind of want to see this through? And my response would be, if I'm athletic director, if I'm Scott Strickland, if I'm whatever, my response would be like, damn, you make a pretty good point. Yes, I kind of do. Now, there's a lot of other boxes that coaches have to check in order to sort of get to that point. And remember, Texas A&M fired Jimbo Fisher last year, and his buyout was an all-time record $76 million.
It's a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot. But like now you can look at it for Texas Tech or Texas A&M and say, well, they fired that guy. It was $76 million, but they got a chance to make the playoff this year. So maybe they made the right decision. Right. So there's this cost sort of like, benefit type of thing. Billy Napier's buyout would have been more than $26 million, which would have been the second biggest in college football history. Only a measly $50 million behind Jimbo Fisher last year. So this is definitely something. I mean, it's interesting how, I think NIL is an important piece to this discussion. Where our money is attached to, how much we're getting back, and how much we will get back on it if we shuffle the deck at this point in time. It matters.
And
I do think it matters.
If I've got to pay every single football player, theoretically, I have less money for buyouts.
Exactly. Yeah. The buyout is a thing in and of itself.
Yeah.
And the NIL attached to the players is a thing in and of itself as well. All right. We will be back. We will make our picks for the weekend. We have 5 games for you all. We'll update you on the standings and take a look around college football. Coming back on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. But first, if you head to 1620thezone.com right now, you could celebrate 25 years of you putting up with us.
We thank you for that.
It's seriously appreciated. We'll have pictures, audio, video every Monday, Wednesday, Friday of this month as we interview voices of the Zone past. Today, Kevin Kugler. We know that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Kugler got me thinking last night because he was calling the Michigan State game, and he got Frankie Fiddler was at the line. Remember Frankie Fiddler?
I do. People forget.
And he got me thinking about that 2020 Bellevue West Millard North State Championship game, forever and ever the weirdest game I will ever call on the radio, certainly, but that I will ever probably be at, because it was basically the last sporting event in the country. I remember watching SportsCenter that night, and it was like 4 out of the 10 top 10 plays were from that game.
Weird.
An 18-0 run to finish the game for Bellevue West, and a game that saw the following players in it: St. Thomas, Hunter Salas, Jason Green. Jason Green missed the floater at the horn.
Oh, no.
That would have tied the game. Chucky Hepburn, Frankie Fiddler, Josiah Dotzler, quarterback Nate Glantz, football player Caden Helms, Will Kyle, who's at UCLA right now. I mean, there's a lot of dudes. So thanks, Kevin. He probably won't tell the story of anything close to that if you listen to 1620thezone.com/25 years. But you can hear plenty of stories from Kevin. John interviewed him, and I'm sure people will be interested in listening to that.
I can tell you lots of stories about Nate Glantz.
Can you do it on 1620thezone.com/25 years?
No one asked me to participate.
That is true. Do you want me to interview you?
I just run the station.
Do you want me would you like me to interview you? I mean, we got a couple. We got time, right?
I'd rather sit under the learning tree.
I could interview you.
You could.
I interviewed John and Josh.
Why am I here? The story is interesting.
It could be a good story. Huh. Somebody interview Josh. All right, we're gonna get Josh on here, but you can hear Kevin.
He's good too.
1620thezone.com. right, to the polls. Wait. Not to the polls. To the picks. It's throwing me off today with the keys and the P's and the history lesson and all that thing.
The rigmarole isn't built into the show.
It doesn't feel like a Friday. It's a very non-Friday Friday.
We're careening without the usual staples in the show.
Hit the reset button this weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe you hit the basketball button this weekend. Beep! Basketball button, Josh!
You don't have
basketball button.
Squeak, squeak. You don't have to hit that button.
I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hammer that thing. Josh, last week, Connor Happer, was 4-2.
That's pretty good.
Josh Hodson, 3-3.
Oh, no.
That's right. You've been making fun of me all week. It's like, this says a loser. Wrong. Beat you by 1, which gives me a 1-game advantage over you in picks.
Gotta focus.
You were idiotic for picking Pittsburgh over SMU. Pittsburgh plus 7.5.
Why did I pick? Oh, I picked them to cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were idiotic for taking Iowa State to cover the 2 touchdowns at home against Texas Tech, a game they lost.
Texas Tech is not this juggernaut that we're making them out to be, everybody.
Wow. Maybe that's a hint for what Josh is about to say. And we were both idiotic for saying Nebraska would cover against UCLA. And I was definitely idiotic for saying that Michigan State would beat Indiana, but we're not talking about that.
Your 2 losses might be worse than my 3.
They're not weighted, Josh.
Oh, they're not?
They're just losses.
Damn it.
So let's go to this week.
Okay.
I am 31-28 on the year. You are 30-29. Not horrible by either.
You're making money if you're betting with us.
Number 3, Georgia is a 2.5-point favorite at number 16, Ole Mississippi, 2:30 on ABC. I just cannot. This Ole Miss is backs against the wall here, right? If they lose this, they're not going to the college football playoff.
That's
and
right.
they were one of the teams at the beginning of the year that people had national championship aspirations for. People had deep college football playoff run aspirations for, and it just hasn't been all that smooth for them this year. And they were one of the teams that fell under the umbrella, them in Penn State, of, well, this is perfect for them because there's going to be an expanded playoff and they're going to be in it because they would have been for the last several years if there was an expanded playoff. But will that be the case?
Connor, did you know these 2 teams hardly ever play each other?
And it makes sense. They were in different divisions.
Yeah, okay. They played last year.
Yeah.
They played in 2016. That game has been vacated. And then they played in 2012.
In 2016 was vacated. Wow. Yeah. Shout out to the SEC. This is like Nebraska's Indiana. They just never play. Give me Georgia to cover the 2.5. I don't have to really think that much about it. Sorry.
Ole Miss is the Penn State of the South in so many ways.
I won't trust them in big games.
That's right. Give me the Dogs minus 2.5.
Michigan is still your defending national champs, Josh.
Can't take it away. Well,
we'll see about that.
We'll circle back on that.
At number 8, disrespected, hated on, drugged through the mud, Indiana. Is it finally time to put some respect on that name? And will this game tell us any more than what we already know? My answer to that is no, Josh. Indiana's a 14.5-point favorite, 2:30 on CBS. You go first.
Old Siggs is going to line the team up, and he's going to say they don't respect you. They don't think anything of you. That's the national champion in the other locker room. Go out and kill them. And Indiana will win by more than 14.5 points because, quite frankly, Michigan's not all that great. They're not bowl eligible either.
So?
Indiana, minus 14.5.
I agree.
Lock it in.
I just don't, where is Michigan going to get the points?
Right. They can't move the ball.
I don't think. So, you know what's interesting? Indiana's disrespected. This is the same line that Oregon had on them last week against Michigan, right?
This is also at the Big House, right?
No.
Oh.
This is in Bloomington.
I'm sorry.
Maybe John Cougar Mellencamp will be there. So that's responsible for, a few points there. But this is it's the same line. And I'm picking Indiana for the same reason. Where does Michigan get the points?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little closer, but I am going to take Indiana at this point just because I trust them more. Number 20, Colorado is a 4.5-point favorite at Texas Tech, 3:00 on Fox. The Buffs need this game to stay alive in the Big 12 race. And they need a little help in front of them if they wanted to make the Big 12 title game. Do you like the Buffs, as somebody in this office does? I guess it's my pick, huh?
It is.
I like Texas Tech to cover the 4.5. I just think Colorado's just going to be in 1- and 2-point games for the rest of eternity. Sorry. I don't have any earthly idea who wins this game. No idea. But I know it will be within a 4-point game. That is my take.
My line of thinking was the exact same as yours. I believe Colorado to be 4 points better than Texas Tech. However, Colorado never wins games by more than
Here's
2
the
points.
problem, though. Here's the problem. We're in the Vegas zone, which means if Colorado randomly completes a Hail Mary at the end of the game, they win the bet. And they go ahead by a touchdown and they win the
true. I mean, Lubbock will be rocking. Big Noon will be there. They'll
Nobody
have their
goes to
tortillas
Lubbock.
ready.
Oh yeah, they're throwing tacos. I heard, as Deion Sanders said. Yeah, we're on the same side here too. Give me Texas Tech.
We're gonna go 5 for 5 with the same picks, aren't we?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm a little chalky this week, I guess. Number 11, Alabama is a 2.5-point favorite at number 15, LSU, 6:30 on ABC. Josh,
I know
Tiger time.
I know there's some statistics out there that indicate LSU will be the winner of this football game, but I guess I just trust Alabama more, and I don't know why.
Interesting.
I don't know why. This year's Alabama has been untrustworthy.
This is an odd game because they both have sort of these clashing strengths and clashing weaknesses. It's like weakness against weakness and strength
Styles
against
make fights.
It's odd. It's an odd game in that way. So it's about really whose weakness is going to be less weak. LSU's defense. Alabama hasn't been very dynamic on the offensive side of the ball.
Both teams have had a week to think about it.
So what happens? It's the stoppable force versus the movable object. No, Josh, we are not going to be a sweep.
Oh, okay.
Go Tigers.
I guess that's good.
Go Tigers. Mike 7 will be sitting outside the stadium going and wondering what the hell is that other Tiger doing here?
Why is it so loud in there?
LSU.
I know. Tough place to play at night. I know.
LSU not only covers, they win the football game. Washington is at number 6, Penn State, who's a 12.5-point favorite, 7:00 on Pico.
The whiteout game.
The whiteout game. The whiteout game, indeed. This is this the longest road trip? No, it'd be Washington to Rutgers, right?
Yeah, that would be a further trip, right?
Washington to Penn State, also very far. Is Penn State going to bounce back? Or is the theory that I had earlier in the week of them being better than everybody, in the tier below them, does that hold true? I will stick with it. Yes, I will say that there has been an overt amount of disrespect been put on Penn State just for committing the very simple crime of losing to Ohio State. It's not that big of a crime, guys. It's the jaywalking of losing college football games. But with that being said, I had to think about it a little bit because when you play, it was a game came out with some bruises there. I mean, it was pretty ugly for a little while. And after you play Ohio State, what do you come out looking like on the other side? With that being said, I just don't think Washington can hold up. Give me Penn State to cover the 12.5.
Yeah, it's the whiteout game. Penn State with needing to prove something. It's Penn State here.
Okay. All right. Those are our picks for the weekend. Couple texts here. One from where did it? Oh, it was a tweet, I guess. Oh, well, I lost that too. It was tweet? Where is? Oh yeah, here it is from the 402. Where is my bye week hype bit, Josh? Josh has been very busy this week.
Very, very busy. And look, now is not now. I guess you need it now more than ever, right? We're feeling very down on ourselves.
It's gray outside. I'm talking about going to basketball games against low majors. We're all sick right now.
It will return 1 week from today. I promise you that.
Good. Thank you.
I'll work myself up into a fervor.
Good.
Next week.
Oh, there's a lot of reasons to hate USC. They're stupid idiots.
They housed a murderer.
Exactly.
That might come up.
Exactly. Oh, I'm sure it will. We got one more comment.
I guess Nebraska did too.
Before we take a break. Mike, I did not see this, but it is true.
Mike. Oh, in the YouTube chat. Yeah.
It's official. Buc-ee's is coming to the Kansas City Metro.
This has to be the work of one Patrick Mahomes.
Why didn't you make a hype tape for this, Josh?
I didn't know about it until he put it in the chat.
And does this bring back lunch in Kansas City?
Definitely.
Kansas City for lunch.
You go get some of those aardvark bites.
It will be in Kansas, on the Kansas side, 601 West Village Parkway, Kansas City, Kansas, right next to, you guessed it, Kansas Speedway.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Which currently owns the 25-acre plot of land not far from the Hollywood Casino and Legends outlets. It is white people heaven.
That area is so crowded.
There's so many things out there. So let's add a gas station with 150 pumps.
All of them full.
And could you imagine that place on race day at Kansas Speedway before and after?
No.
Yeah, it'll be tricky in there.
Buc-ee's is asking for public financing to reimburse $13.5 million of a $95 million price tag.
Wow. $95 million for a gas station.
When's this opening?
I don't know if there's a targeted date yet.
Construction could begin in May. Project is expected to take 2 years.
All right. Coming soon. Buc-ee's to Kansas City area. I don't go out that way much, to be completely honest.
I really try and avoid that area.
All right, we'll be back with the polls. We'll tell you what to watch next on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
So the polls at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. 2 from yesterday's crossover.
Had a little Happy New Year yesterday afternoon, right?
It was. It was a good one. A lot was said. Maybe you'll hear it again in just a few weeks. Do young people drink Mick Ultras? I don't see it much. I don't see it much.
Like at a sporting event when you're forced to, you only got like 3 choices or something maybe.
Wow, I
but
gotta hit refresh on this. This is unbelievable if this is the case. So do young people drink Mick Ultras? 68% say yes.
Wow, overwhelming.
Do old people drink Mick Ultras? Is a separate poll question.
Definitely.
67% say
wow.
yes.
A lot of people just in general drinking Mick Ultras.
By the way, these poll questions, you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be 2/3 one side or the other. Every single one.
Third of our audience are just trolls, Connor.
Let's see. Is Fran McCaffrey Juan Soto? Just staring at people.
I think not.
I'm going yes.
Okay.
63% say no.
Oh, no.
2/3. Is Nick Hanley paying for your junk?
Nah, not mine.
No, he's not. 55% say yes.
Okay.
Weird, but okay. 2 more. Do you know about the parks?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I do not.
I do.
51% say no.
Ooh.
And finally, is Lincoln the San Francisco of Nebraska?
I kind of think it is.
Just pee everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm voting yes. Currently, 51% say no.
Oh.
So it's very close.
Okay.
It'll be 50-50. Josh, those are the polls. What are we watching tonight?
We got so much football. The NFL is
is it action?
No, it's real football. Broncos and the Chiefs. Rare noon game for the Chiefs this Sunday on CBS. You can listen to it on 1290 as well.
That's right.
Eagles Cowboys follows at 3:00 on CBS. Interesting little dynamic. Fox has the solo window on Sunday. In Omaha, you will get Vikings Jags at noon. If you live in Lincoln, for some reason, you will be burdened with Titans Chargers at 3:00.
Why?
Lincoln.
Why?
I don't know.
Whoa. Who makes that choice?
I don't know.
And why did that person choose that?
Is Danny Woodhead still play for the Chargers? Yeah, put it on in Lincoln.
Bill Callahan?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Either way, you get Lions, Texans Sunday night on NBC. Red lids for the Texans on Sunday. It's going to be, expectations are high to just entertain the hell out of me on Sunday night.
Lions, Texans.
Yeah.
I don't like those red helmets, by the way.
Ooh.
Not a fan. Hot take.
College football tonight, ACC Network. Connor, dial it up. It's worth it. Wake Forest hosts Cal.
Won't be worth it.
Iowa, UCLA.
That's the one.
8:00 tonight on Big Fox.
The sun will be setting behind the San Gabriel Mountains.
That's right.
That'll probably be set, right?
6:00 local time for the start of that game? Yeah, probably. Rice and Memphis, 8:00 on ESPN2. New Mexico against San Diego State, 9:30 tonight on FS1.
Sun goes down at 4:53 in LA today.
That's disgusting.
4:50. What time does it get dark in like December?
2.
It must.
I don't know.
Where'd the sun go?
I don't know. I don't have an answer.
The sun will be set behind the San Gabriel Mountains.
Under the lights.
Yeah.
College.
The last time Iowa went to LA, they got their crap rocked by Christian McCaffrey.
Who among us hasn't, though?
People forget.
College game day in Death Valley for Alabama LSU. Guest pickers, plural, Livy Dunn and Paul Skeens.
Hell yeah.
Everyone's excited for Paul Skeens.
I like those two.
To return home.
I don't have any problem with those two.
No.
They seem fine to me.
Fine. Yeah. Big noons in Lubbock for Colorado, Texas Tech. Get your tortillas ready. College basketball. That's right, Connor. I will acknowledge its existence.
Thank you.
Number 9, North Carolina at number 1, Kansas tonight.
That's
6:00 on ESPN.
Roy Williams.
8:00.
Not the coach at North Carolina anymore.
No, but he'll be there.
Yeah.
He's always sitting in the audience.
Yeah.
He's always
Will
watching.
Roy Williams be there?
He's always sitting and watching North Carolina basketball.
Let's find out. Keep going.
Okay. Number 8, Baylor at number 16, Arkansas, 6:30 tomorrow night on ESPNU. Bethune-Cookman at Nebraska, 7 o'clock tomorrow on Big Ten Plus. Number 11, Auburn at number 4, Houston, 8:30 ESPNU. Fairleigh Dickinson at number 15, Creighton, 4 o'clock Sunday on FS1. We would rather you listen to coverage right here on 1620 The Zone and 101.9 The Keg. Shoot-around begins at 2:30, he said.
Roy Williams says he will not go to the Kansas UNC game because, quote, there is no way that I can go into Allen Fieldhouse and clap when the other team scores a basket. He is a coward. That's exactly what he just said. Jeez.
Roy? NBA doubleheader tonight on ESPN. Suns Mavs at 6:30. Sixers Lakers at 9 o'clock. Volleyball this weekend, number 2, Nebraska at Receiving Votes, Washington. 9:30 tomorrow night on BTN. Butler at number 5, Creighton, 6 o'clock tonight, 1620 The Zone is where you can hear that. That's right, the big stick for Creighton volleyball tonight.
Go Jays.
Number 5, Creighton travels to Marquette Sunday for a 2 o'clock battle on FS1 is where you can watch that one. USL League One semifinal. The Greenville Triumph take on Union Omaha. I believe this is 4 o'clock Saturday.
That's right.
I found differing info in many places. CBS Sports Network for the pictures on that one. And finally, Connor, 7 o'clock Sunday.
Tommy Boy.
On Paramount. Not Tommy Boy. The 10th episode of the 5th season of Yellowstone premieres.
Oh, no.
Marking the first new episode of the series in 679 days.
Dear
After an event rattles the state of Montana, nothing will ever be the same.
Of course. Nothing is ever the same ever.
Gee, I wonder what that event could be, given that the star of the show is no longer on the show.
They had to kill him somehow.
They're going to
It's
take
just a
him to
matter
the
of
train
how.
station.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Connor.
So we're watching tonight. That's the show. Thanks for being with us this week. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is next.